And welcome to the Krug Show, everybody. Larry Krueger after 49er football on the Krug Show. And, of course, Kev's in the house. We got Ryan in the house, one of the original OGs on the Krug Show. And Dan Coach Emilio may be joining us at some point if we're lucky. Hey, the great Raul Velez just knocked on the next window. So it's a good night. We're off and running on the Krug Show. And, of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. And the owner of Pig and a Pickle called me before the game, and he's like, or texted me before the game and was like, "Hey man, we're having record numbers of people eating Pig and a Pickle today." So it was a huge day for the people in the pickle. No, but Corte Madera, check them out. Corte Madera in Emeryville, they're open 7 days a week. You can get that barbecue, and it's really good. So check that out. And of course, thanks to them for sponsoring the Krug Show. Also, thanks to Marin Auto Glass at the top of the screen, 415-883-3030. My man Saeed owns Marin Auto Glass. And if you ever need a windshield, he is your guy. And then, of course, we also want to thank Underdog Fantasy, the proud sponsor of the Krug Show as well. And check that link in the description. And if you can, you try to use that promo code Krug, and they will match you up to your first $100. So thanks to Underdog Fantasy for being a sponsor of the Krug Show. Guys, I can't keep doing this. I mean, I can't keep doing this. I mean, what the heck? Are you kidding me?
You're going to look like me, Larry, soon.
I mean,
no hair. You're going to lose your hair.
What?
Yeah, Dan had nothing to lose there. Dan had nothing to lose.
I had nothing to lose, man.
Seriously, Danny, can you take that off again one more time?
Yeah, that's what 40.
That. There's a shine. Years. I'm getting a shine off that dome.
There's a little bit on top, but not much.
You got to wax that bad boy.
You're aerodynamic. You're looking.
I could do the comb over if I grew it over here, but
yeah. You should try the comb over.
How about if the Niners win the Super Bowl? You got to grow the comb over.
Oh God!
At least until first pitch. First pitch of the season.
Fantasy punishment.
Guys, what a game. I mean, this one was, I did not communicate with Kev during the game because I was just so involved in the game. But man,
people were asking me that too. They're like, "Do you talk to your dad during the game?" I'm like, "No, this one especially. There's definitely no texting going back and forth. This is
no texting. I'm not part of any group text. I literally told Ryan Leong in the press box, I go, dude, if you had said like 5 more words in the first quarter, I was going to break your jaw. I'm just like, I'm going to attack you and violently kill you, because he was just talking. He was like doing play by play. And have you ever sat next to somebody who's like literally on every play? I'm like, dude, I don't know, dial back the cocaine or whatever you're on and give me some space. So no, but I did tell him. I told him, I said, hey, look, you gotta. He asked me a couple questions and I just had to ignore him. I literally ignored him. And
you were mad.
I was just like, dude, I can't listen to Ryan Leong talk trash about my team from three feet away as I'm thinking good thoughts. It's still first quarter. And he's like, well, I guess we won't be going to Vegas and all this stuff. And I'm just sitting there going, what would happen? Would I lose my credential? I mean, if I attacked another media member violently, I'm just like, all of a sudden I just had a barrage of rights on Ryan Leong. Would it be bad for the channel? Would it be good for the channel? These are the kinds of things I think about sometimes, but I decided to show restraint, and there was no violence in the press box. And then all of a sudden the Niners came back in the second half and the momentum swung. And I think Ryan maybe went somewhere else to tape something, so he wasn't around, and everything became glorious.
Well, I got a question about the press box.
Yes,
I was seeing on people. There was. Let me
go to Ryan in Southern California.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan. Welcome to our seminar.
There were some Lions fans on Twitter, not Lions fans, Lions media members on Twitter that were complaining that there was a bunch of 49ers like media people that were like screaming and cheering after the after the fumble recovery and like a couple other times during the game.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't me, but yeah, there probably was some, the way the press box is structured though. There's also people who work in the kitchen and they're only like, 20 feet away, and if they're cheering, you can definitely hear them. So that it could have been some of that. You got to remember the people who work at the game don't make. They're not like, we need to be professional. We are unbiased. They're like, go freaking Niners,
Yeah.
That's what they're there for. So, but what a game. And I did shake hands with Brock Purdy a couple minutes ago in the locker room. And I said to him, man, that was an incredible incredible game. And he said, yeah, man, we were down 17 at half and we came back in the second half. And I was like, wow, it was just one for the ages. And to me, his scrambling really was it. I mean, 51 yards of scrambling, and it just made and I interviewed Chris Kasarik in the locker room as well, the Niner D line coach. And I asked him about, what it does to a defense when a quarterback can break loose and scramble like that in a big game like this and kind of break your back. Right. And he just I don't think they win tonight, guys, without his scrambling. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic. And the Niners, what can you say? I mean, the other thing that it's such a cool thing, we all watch sports, all the time and have for years and years. But this one was one of the biggest momentum swings that I felt like I was watching a college football bowl game, where one team dominates the first half and another team dominates the second half. It was amazing. I mean, and I don't want to rip Dan Campbell because I love Dan Campbell and I think everything about Dan Campbell is really cool. I think he's, I like Dan Campbell quite a bit. I just think that he walks the walk. But I mean, in this game, man,
him out.
This one is not the game for Dan Campbell's reputation. David Montgomery ran for, let me check it out real quick. So I think I jotted it down. Oh yeah. 15 carries, 93 yards, 6.2 a carry. This guy had 32 carries in a game earlier this year. He carried it 15 times. How does a guy who's gashing the defense for 6 yards a pop only get 15 carries? And you don't go. Dan Campbell, all the going for it. Then he went for a field goal at the 2-yard line instead of handing it to Montgomery. That was a huge mistake. They could have stepped on the Niners, on the Niners' throat at the end of the first half and go up 28, go up 28-7 instead of 24-7, and they settled for the field goal. So I going for it on fourth down, they had a 16-yard run to Montgomery, and you're like sitting there as a 49er fan going, oh my God, this team can run this back at this defense all night long, and they can ride it all the way to the Super Bowl. And instead, the next play's a flea flicker, and the play, a couple plays later, he's passing it to somebody else. He's got Goff on the run on a key down. And it's like, wow, Dan Campbell, I thought, and maybe their offensive coordinator, who's going to be, sounds like the next head coach of the Washington Commanders. But I mean, I thought they blew it tonight. I mean, you could have taken points one time and gone up 17. I mean, it's like once you build a lead, it's like collect points and keep moving. And he kept going for it in weird situations and then getting down the goal line. Then he kind of like, what, you don't want to go for it for 2 yards? I mean, Montgomery's ripping off huge yardage. The Niners escaped in some ways in this game. Go ahead, guys. Let's go around the room and get it rolling. If people want to jump in on the chat, we'll get to the super chats probably all at one time. But let's let the dialogue get going. Kev, what'd you think? You've been watching it from Cal Poly down there, our San Luis Obispo headquarters, the Central California hub. What's going on? What's the word on the street?
I mean, I have a couple thoughts on this, but the first one I'll bring up is I'll go positive first. First, okay. I'll just say,
good. Stay positive.
Yeah, I'll go positive. They won.
Since they did win and they are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of hard to do.
Exactly. I know. It's not good to go negative right now.
Don't go negative. Don't be like, damn.
I love to see the Purdy scrambles because it just completely evaporates the game manager moniker that Brock Purdy gets, because there's nothing more like solo about going on a 21-yard run and
system scrambler is what you're trying to say.
Right. It's like all the system quarterbacks kind of have one thing in common usually that they talk about, like Alex Smith and whatever. They don't move well. Brock Purdy moved very well tonight, and on key downs ran for a first down, ran for 21 plus. I think he had like 6 yards a carry, 5 carries, and he had 48 yards. 9.6 a carry, 2 21-yard runs. So,
and he took a couple hits on those runs. It wasn't like he was just like, he just ran out of bounds. This guy, took it upfield. He put himself in harm's way. I mean, to me, the 51 yards of rushing that you got from Purdy tonight, that's who at the core, if you wanted to say to somebody, who is Brock Purdy? What is Brock Purdy? I mean, That's what Brock Purdy is. The money's on the line. It's a gotta have it game. And he's getting it done by hook or by crook. I mean, if he finds a guy, great. But if there's nothing there, he is going to put it down and he's going to take it upfield and he's going to try to use his legs as an open field runner. I thought those 51 yards tonight were huge, huge. Danny, what'd you think of the game?
Well, geez.
That's well said. Ryan, what do you think? No, go ahead.
I got to say that, Purdy was the difference maker in the second half. Those 3 runs, did not try to just slide. He went for every yard, dove headlong to get the extra yardage. He was not going just for the first downs. He was going for the big play, and they were all critical movement. The other thing I got to say is worried me going into this game. I'm still worried about it. Defensive line, Hargrave looked terrible. So did Chase Young. Hargrave, we're paying all this money to. No pressure up the middle.
He should have dominated his matchup. Yeah. And instead, well, he did get, I'll say this. I watched on the binoculars from the 8th level, and he did get combo blocked a lot early in the game.
Yeah, it's just, and the calling Wilkes, just the one call that just blew my mind was 3rd and 18. And you're thinking, okay, put pressure on Goff. At least show blitz. No, they go 4-man and the linebackers are 12 yards deep. And I'm like, Goff knows it's 4-man rush. And he just got that first down. That was before the first half. And they were able to get the points. I'm just like, what in the world? But Niners are going to need to pick up. Coaching's going to have to do much better if they're going to beat the Chiefs.
Ryan, what'd you think? By the way, where are you? NorCal, SoCal, Mexico?
SoCal.
Where? SoCal.
The first thing I wanted to say, I was just chuckling. I saw on my, I just love the idea of Dan. He tweeted the CJ Gardner Johnson waving back. Hey CJ, enjoy your flight back to Detroit, you loser! 3 exclamation points.
Danny, did you put that out there?
I did.
Oh, that's highbrow.
I don't care for that guy.
I love it.
I don't care for that guy.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
yeah. God, I mean,
guys, we've just been graced with the great Raul Velez.
Hey,
Raul. Radio legend has just entered our midst. Thanks, bro. Good to see you. Yeah, so we're here at Levi's in a booth above the stadium, and there's still a bunch of people out on the field right now. As I'm looking out over the field, people still tons of red confetti and families of the players waiting for them, and photographers and people, just staffers and people walking around, security and whatnot. There's a lot of people on the field. I would say, still about 150, 200 people on the field. It's amazing when you think about what a monumental game this was tonight. I mean, NFC Championship game. The drama of it is just absolutely stunning. I mean, if you think about it, the Lions guys looked phenomenal in the first half. Gibbs, Laporta, Montgomery. The 49ers were not getting to Goff at all. He was throwing in rhythm. It reminded me of the Bengal game when Joe Burrow came in and just did whatever the heck he wanted to do. And this is what it looked like with Goff. And I'm like, oh man, we are not going to Vegas. And the dream season ends right here. And then they get down on the goal line at the end of the second quarter. And to me, that's where this game kind of changed. I don't know where you guys thought the momentum was, but for me, it's 3rd and goal. Goff goes to Gibbs for 3 yards. So now it's 4th, and that was 3rd and goal from the 6. So they got 3 yards. So now they're down at the 2. They've been doing really well. It was a long drive. It was a 17-play drive. And instead of punching it in with Montgomery to make it 28-7, they settled for the Michael Badgley field goal on 4th and goal from the 2. So that was very un-Dan Campbell-like. And I thought that was my first indication that, man, maybe this team's a little tight. 24-7, though, and you're thinking, well, the Niners this has got to be it. And I'm sure, there was a weird resolve about the 49ers, the way they came out of the locker room in the third quarter. It just really seemed like they were intent on turning it up. It was CMC on a halfback toss for 9 yards. It was Purdy on a slant to Debo for, 25 or whatever. Then Purdy to Debo again for 9. And then Debo on a reverse got tackled in the backfield. But then Purdy found Jennings on 3rd and 4 for 8.
That was wild.
That was a big play. And then CMC with the 2-yard run and they get down to it. And on 3rd and 8, Purdy goes to Jennings and it's incomplete. And you're sitting there going, they're going to settle for a field goal here.
By the way, I felt bad about that. Like that Jennings was wide open and Purdy kind of hung him out to dry. He got strung up.
Right. So 24-10 after the field goal. And you're still thinking, you know what, there's still 14, they're still, down 14.
11 minutes.
And that's just that's a lot. And the way they hadn't stopped Detroit yet, but somehow on the next drive, St. Brown on 3rd and 4 couldn't convert. And then on 4th and he went for it on 4th and 2 from the 28. He could have kicked a field goal to go up 27-10. But instead he said, you know what, I'm going to go off to Reynolds. And it was incomplete and the 49ers held. And once that happened, it was like, well, wait a second. Now this is going to kind of getting interesting. If all the Lions had to do, guys, was just kind of trade field goals for touchdowns and they would have won this game.
What do you think of that decision? Like, cause they were showing the Badgley numbers and like, he's pretty damn shaky from that distance. I kind of agreed with the call. And honestly, I mean, it should have worked out. They just got a drop.
Yeah. We welcome in D Bruce on the $5. D Bruce, good to see you.
What's going on? I'm making sure this is streaming out to the good people over on my channel too. Guys, so good to see you. And it's happened. That wasn't supposed to happen. And it happened. Oh my gosh. What a comeback.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Kevin got a haircut.
No, looks good. Looks absolutely. Looks Kevin got a haircut.
I did not.
Unbelievable.
No, I'm working material here. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitresses, 2-drink minimum. Tell them Danny sent you. Danny Coach Emilio. Go ahead, David.
People have been buying me doing shots. So
have you been doing shots on your show, Damon?
We've been doing celebratory shots. Absolutely.
What are you shooting tonight with children in the building?
Oh yeah. Well, they came in late, a little black and whiskey for the good people out there. But yeah, it was an unbelievable comeback when that was spurned by the fact that Dan Campbell was too aggressive for his own good. I mean, I cannot believe that they settled to go for it on 4th down instead of just taking the points twice. Once with an opportunity to tie the game.
Right.
I couldn't believe it. You want to stay aggressive early? I get it. But to tie the game, Dan Campbell was nuts. I mean, someone needs to tell him, Dan, this isn't about establishing a culture. This isn't about win a game franchise into something else. This is about winning the game that's in front of you. And he blew it.
Yeah. You got to be able to, I mean, he is big and tough and his team is tough, and they're like him. I mean, he's a tough guy with tons of grit. Everybody loves him. His team has taken on his traits and they're super talented. The Lions team is awesome, man. Laporta, Gibbs, Montgomery, Jameson Williams, I mean, these weapons are ridiculous. Their O-line's great. But the one thing that was weird was Goff doesn't move well. He doesn't perform well on the move. And they willingly rolled him out once or twice. And it was I thought that was kind of weird. And at the same time, I thought the 49er defense, you got to really credit those guys. I mean, it makes you laugh when you think about watching this game. You think, man, there was a long debate between Logan Ryan and Jair Brown. I mean, Jair Brown was a monster today.
Yeah.
If they didn't have Jair Brown, they wouldn't have won this game. I mean, he was just flying around, hitting like a truck. I mean, that guy's going to be a tremendous player.
Logan Ryan did have one really key tackle for loss. Did you see that towards the end of the game? He had one really good play.
Well, they moved him into the slot when Thomas went out and put Lenore in the corner. They did not go with Isaiah Oliver, so that was telling that they're going more for coverage than But, I thought you mentioned the end of the first half being the momentum changer when they did the field goal. I think that, and then coming out in the second half, the ball that Ayuk caught, had that been picked, I mean, it went right off his face mask. had he put his hands up, he probably would have caught it. But had that been picked and not caught by Ayuk, and then subsequently they get the TD, we might be not having too much of a show here as far as having a good time.
100%. I think I actually
Yeah.
might have said it last week, but I just have this feeling like there's some sort of like ritual sacrificing going on with the Warriors, like the way they are just like inventing new ways to blow more and more painful losses, and they're just, tearing their season to shreds. It just feels like some sort of dark arts freaking sacrifice for the Niners, because that's just what it felt like. The third quarter was just whatever kind of like dark arts voodoo was going on. I mean, it was nuts. I didn't even particularly feel like the Niners all of a sudden started imposing their will or their defense really stepped it up. It's just like a series of just fucking nutso things happened. Like just boom, boom, boom. Ayuk. All right, fumble. All right, drop pass on third down. It just kept going. And Purdy, you got to give him credit. He was making I tweeted out like, this is like, I love this for Purdy and like the sports debate shows in general, because he is like, his 2 playoff performances have only made him more of like the perfect Rorschach test for like debating, because you can pull out of this game or the last game that he somehow had a bad performance. You can pull out that the guy's super clutch and that, you see he's a gamer, all this. I don't know. I guess I just believe in Brock Purdy at this point. And he seems like the kind of guy, sort of like Eli Manning, pulling it out of his ass to beat Brady a couple times. That's sort of what it kind of feels like Purdy might do in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you mentioned the craziness of the Warriors and stuff. This might be the only hope for the Bay Area right now is the Niners. Back in the Giants days.
Danny, don't bring us down.
Well,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
We got to win this.
We got to win there at Del Boca Vista in the middle of
this is the year.
probably some kind of a seniors community that has an 8-foot barrier wall, and
then you're the year.
And you start telling us what we need about our sports. I'm pushing back for Joe Fan on the street. No, Danny, you're not coming in here from Del Boca Vista and running things.
I will
not,
say this,
not on the Krug Show. Not now.
Not on
not
the Positive Krug Show. That's right. I heard you, Jan Willard and Dibbs, talking about changing the name of the show to what was it? The Positive Show or the
Willard's just too negative about the Giants for me. I was giving him that joke because, of course, there's only one way to be right now as a Giants fan, and that is negative. All right, Danny, of course, bringing us to topics that make the number of people in the room go down. So we'll move away from Dan for just a second.
If you guys, I asked my audience, we need a name for the Brandon Ayuk 51-yard reception. It was so incredible. It's
fluke to Ayuk.
It's a lynch.
Look at that.
It's on Twitter.
The fluke to Ayuk. I'm using that. I'm going to grow that. I'm going to Ryan, do you want copyrights on that? Or
immaculate deflection. And I was going with that, but fluke to Ayuk is
David's working.
That's good.
Very good too. Very good.
Where's Ray Rada when you need him?
Yeah, he would love the alliteration. But that was an unbelievable second half where the Niners needed to be
baller,
almost perfect, and they needed the Lions to screw up. And the 2 field goals that they passed on in the name of staying aggressive, and then obviously Tayshaun Gibson just forcing as big of a fumble as you'll ever see in your life.
God, I mean, that was huge.
That just got the game right back to where the 49ers were in position to start controlling it. They got their asses kicked. Make absolutely no mistakes. I mean, the 49ers, I don't know if they're going to be favored to win a Super Bowl based on the way that they've just played these last 2 playoff games. I guess
1.5 right now.
Are they really?
It's Niners by 1.5.
Open 3.
It was 2.5.
Down to 1.
It started at 2. It moved to 2.5. And then it's the last I checked, it was 1.5 Niners.
I mean, it's basically a pick 'em right there. I mean, they're just telling you that this team's a little lucky. I mean, they really are. They got their asses whipped by this.
Detroit's offensive line is ridiculous. And we can talk about Dan Campbell's decisions on 4th down and whatnot. And I thought he just misread the situation several times. But I mean, to me, just from watching it from where I was watching it, every time you didn't hand the ball to David Montgomery, I was thinking, okay, thank God, because David Montgomery was fantastic, and Gibbs. Both those guys seemed relatively unstoppable. And the fact that they could run for well over 6 yards a carry, both those guys went off. The Niners never really stopped them, and they lost. How many teams do you know that get into a game like this and run as well as Detroit did tonight and lose?
Dude, they were running for 10.8 yards per carry in the first quarter.
So they averaged 9 yards, over 9.1 yards per play in the entire first half. They were totally dominating in the first
There
half.
were some alleys that Lions offensive line had opened up. Damon, I think you would have ran for 5 yards a clip. So I ended up going to this game, fellas. Friday, a feeling
You
came
sound a little
over
hoarse.
me. I am a little hoarse. I left it all out on the field. But
There we go.
Friday, a
All right,
feeling
back.
came over me and said, you know what? You got to go to this game. You got to cheer your tail off. And that's what I did. But I got to be honest, 24-7 at halftime, I was worried. Not only that, I'm in this long ass line to go to the bathroom. I got guys. There was a lot of blue out there. I don't know how
There
it
was.
looked on TV.
There was.
But, you
I
know,
support the
I
blue
was
normally.
sitting- there was a lot of blue, and I'm in the line at the
Yeah,
bathroom. I got Lions fans talking it up. They're hyped up. They think, oh, hey, you know what? There's not enough time for the Niners to even come back. And I couldn't even turn around and look at them because I just had to eat it at that point because the Niners were not playing their game. They're getting gashed. I'm wondering, why are there huge alleys right through the middle of this defensive line? That being said, fellas, that second half was just amazing. That was the greatest comeback
Wasn't that awesome?
I've ever witnessed. I'm so glad I went to that game. It was awesome. I thought the turning point, how about Debo getting involved in that third quarter? I thought Debo had some huge plays that sparked this offense, really got things going. And then you had the big Ayuk tipped ball, which happened, 20 rows in front of me. And that was awesome.
I did an interview in the locker room with Aaron Banks, and I said, what was the talk at halftime? And, Banks is really a good talker, and he's a real guy, and but he's candid. And he's like, we just kind of looked around at each other and we're like, we're not going out like that. We're not going out like that. They didn't like the way the first half went. They were down 24-7, and they just kind of vowed to, try to really bring it in the second half. They were mad. They were frustrated. And they came out in the third quarter with purpose. And then that turnover just was the game changer right there. I mean, it just shows too, the other thing was really awesome. It's one of the most incredible things about sports is watching momentum change. I mean, this game was like the most momentum change I've ever seen in my life. This place was totally rocking as soon as Gibson had the forced fumble and Armstead recovered. And like from that point on, it was like, that was it. CMC scores on a 1-yard touchdown run to tie the game. And then Goff went to Reynolds on third down, 3rd and 10. He dropped it. They went 3 and out on the next series. And then the 49ers, this is late third quarter, early fourth quarter. Moody makes a 32-yarder and they go up by 3. And then unbelievably, they go for it on 4th and 3, and Goff throws incomplete on the run. I mean, anytime Jared Goff is on the run, you feel really good about your chances. Sure enough, incomplete. Niners take over at the 30, and at that point, you're like, wait a second. They get this done here, and they're going to go up 10. And sure enough, that drive, CMC runs for 7. Purdy bootleg pass to Debo for 8. CMC runs for 2. And then Purdy went to CMC for 4. And then you get to 3rd and 4 from roughly midfield. The Niners are on the plus 49 going in. And Purdy scrambles 21 yards on 3rd and 4. I mean, that was a huge play.
He had a better Lamar Jackson game than Lamar Jackson did.
Yeah, CMC goes 25 yards down to the 3, and then all of a sudden it's Elijah Mitchell time, and you're up 10 in a game that you were down 17 at half. I mean, it was a stunning momentum shift. One for the ages, man. One for the absolute ages. That was incredible.
You remember that one in
Joe Fonzie comes up to me right after the game, and he's like, did you know that the score at halftime in this game, 24-7, was the exact score
57.
of Niners Lions in 1957 when it went the other way?
Yes.
So the Niners get redemption on 57 in, January 28th of 2024. Unbelievable.
Did it have a feel? I wasn't at the game in 2002 when they were down 38-14 to the Giants in that playoff, and they came back and won 39-38 on the missed field goal at the end of the game by the Giants. Remember that play? And there was like pass interference. They didn't call it. Do you remember that game?
The Trey Junkin game?
Yeah, that was the snap, and everything was crazy about that. But that was what I was thinking a little bit with this comeback. It was like, because the momentum just that third quarter, it was just like, are they going to end up the third quarter leading? You know, it was tied at 24, but the Niners had the ball the last 2 minutes, and it was like, are they going to all of a sudden score on this drive in the third quarter? But I felt all I was saying is just get it to 34-24 on that. Don't settle for a field goal and, get down by be up by 6 and leave it this last drive for Detroit to score a TD. When McCaffrey got that big run down the sideline, the blocking by Kittle was unbelievable. And McCaffrey ended up kind of falling on his head, and I think that's why he never returned, because his neck, he got I don't know if he got
that looked bad too.
I think he's okay, but he probably got what that compression it looked like, where he probably really sore in the back of his neck. But Elijah Mitchell then comes in, and did Elijah Mitchell rush 4 times, 4 of the most important carries he'll ever have in a game for 7 yards, because the last 3 to run out the clock were crucial that they didn't have to punt.
Yeah, totally. And Shanahan trusts Elijah Mitchell. I mean, it's a unique situation. It's like you'd almost have to have insider knowledge to understand how this team works. Elijah Mitchell is a trusted guy. Why? Because he never fumbles, and he always gets what it's blocked for. So there's like this unbelievable trust that Shanahan has in Elijah Mitchell. And if you gave him his druthers, he would like to get up in the game, get to the fourth quarter, and then use Elijah Mitchell on a series or 2 and run out the clock. The only thing with Mitchell is he's got kind of a big man's game, and he's got kind of a small man's body. He's only 200 pounds, so you can't take the pounding, and he gets hurt a lot. But, man, when he's healthy, man, he's dangerous. All right, let's get to some of these supers real quick, and then we'll get our dialogue going here. 69er said, the miracle at Levi's, Purdy is him. Thank you. Gizmo Maltese says, Wilkes needs to adjust sooner in the first half. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, I don't wait, before you just moved on.
Yeah.
Did Steve Wilkes coach a poor game, or did this defensive line just get its absolute fucking ass handed to it and missed a whole bunch of tackles? You go back and you look at the Gibbs 15-yard touchdown run.
Yeah.
That might have been the worst defensive play of the entire year for the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh,
you got
I know,
guys
it's terrible.
Arms out.
But he's really elusive too. But you're right.
Chase Young.
The only thing I'll add to that is that
he was brutal, Rye. He was brutal.
They said on the coverage that they played only zone for the entire first half, and they never changed it once. I just don't understand how you couldn't change it up at all a little bit when you're getting gashed for like 10 yards of play the entire first half. That's the one thing I was confused about. They never switched it up.
Wasn't exactly like when they did switch it up, or how much they switched it up. I haven't watched the replay yet, obviously, but I mean, Detroit was getting what it wanted on the ground in the second half too. I mean, it really was.
MF chimes in with yes. MF, seriously, that was what a game. What a game. There's no cheering in the press box. I started the stream, Damon, talking about how I almost beat up Ryan Leong because he was just talking endlessly at the beginning. Somebody needs to choke that guy. I mean, I was if you see him, and at one point he
Ryan's normally
brought up your name. He's like, you're friends with Damon. I'm like, dude, I don't want to. I'm not here to talk gossip. I'm here to watch the Niners play the Lions. I'm a little bit more concerned than talking about Damon and media gossip.
I'm just nice to know I'm still a topic in the press.
Oh, you're a hot topic. Well, I'll tell you about it later. You're really going to love it. It's going to be you're going to enjoy it. We'll save it for off the air. And then we'll give it to our special members later. Who spend extra to be
behind a paywall.
We're gonna call it the Ryan Clark, where we lie to the audience so that we can somehow make money off it later. It's a really interesting segment. All right, Joseph Ernberg says, Larry, I love you. What a game. Defense, do better.
Seriously.
Joseph, I love you back. I mean that. Even if it doesn't sound like I do. Mr. 3 Degrees, Purdy shows tonight that he can make a huge difference with his runs. He's top 5 quarterback in the NFL. The haters have nothing left to say. Mainstream media can choke on it. Their narrative is done.
Yeah, he's a system runner.
This is a system quarterback. This is a system Super Bowl appearance. But
What I want to know is if they win the next game, will there be a system parade?
There will. The system will have to go up Market Street. They'll probably use a cable car system.
Yeah, we'll have to do it on a system, some kind of a system, because he's a system guy. MF says Purdy's scramble ability, fire. Yeah, Purdy, to me, the one thing that really stood out in this game is that Brock Purdy, if you want to say what is he really, he's just a really kind of smart, competitive, kind of sneaky athletic guy who at his core is just super competitive. Is he the best at anything? Probably not. Does he throw it the best? No. But you know what? He's plays the game with rhythm and on time. The interesting thing about Brock Purdy is all he said earlier in this week was he talked about momentum. And then he's like, we really want to make sure that we have positive momentum and this and that. And it was like a weird word to use for him. And then sure enough, we get into this game and he really, when they seized momentum, he just went for it. He was just like not going to be denied. And it's, you guys watch Niner football. He doesn't run like that every week. He probably wouldn't last 5 games if he did, but you know what? There's money on the table. It's January football. You get a big ring at the Super Bowl and it's worth it. As they say, the hat and t-shirt game. So he was just wanted it tonight when you have that level of a competitor, because ultimately, if you think about it, there's a lot of guys with great arms. There's a lot of guys who read it well and this and that. What makes Mahomes? He's a freaking awesome competitor. And what's making Brock Purdy, what's his best trait? It's probably that too. He's just a really great competitor. And you saw it tonight, making plays and being smart with the ball and outside of the one interception. And the big 51 yards of rushing, that was huge. Absolutely huge.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is looking ahead a little bit, but just talking about momentum, just because I think we just kind of keep talking about it. LaFleur had the strategy of they were going to take the ball no matter what, start the game. And of course,
Right.
Shanahan's going to always want to defer. And they came out, scored immediately. Same thing happened today with Detroit. And obviously, it's just the Niners just can't do what they want to do when they're even down 7 to start a game. Like, unless they drive right down the field and score a touchdown to match, like they all of a sudden are behind the 8 ball and their defense can't play the same way. And their interior O-line gets beat up and in all of these like obvious passing situations. The Chiefs, I think they've scored on there was some stat, like basically like every, Patrick Mahomes Chief game, like the opening drive, they score. I worry a little bit about Shanahan.
By the way, you said the Niners are favored. Patrick Mahomes, I believe, is 9-1-1, now 10-1-1 career as an underdog.
True. Also,
I hear what you're saying. Take the ball.
I want to take the ball. I want to take the ball.
Take the ball. It's not a bad idea. I know Kyle doesn't like going against his tendencies. He has a textbook that he believes is the correct text in order how to win games, and it's certainly worked for him more often than it's failed him. But you got to be in the game that you're in, not the plan that you have. And I do think that there is something to taking the ball, because we've seen how behind the ball the Niners have been. It is amazing that the Niners have reached the Super Bowl playing, I think, arguably their 2 worst games of the year in the postseason. Certainly a game and a half anyways. The second half of this game got better, but
maybe when we're saying the worst, maybe this is what it looks like when you're playing the best teams and the biggest games, is there's more adversity. I don't know, but you're right though. They have not looked good and really got it going. They look pretty good against the Commanders at times, but yeah, I mean, since the Baltimore game, they've looked kind of just
I really
okay.
do believe though, like if they got up versus either of these teams, like it doesn't matter. They could have came into the game with the same exact game plan. Everything's the same. The Niners like got up early, like 7-0 or 10-0. Like I think both of these games could have been blowouts.
Yeah, because Kansas City deferred today. Andy Reid will defer just like Kyle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it'll be interesting who wins that coin toss, because whoever wins has a history of deferring. But the Chiefs score, and they don't score a lot of points in the second half.
No, that's what I was going to say. I think it's 18 of 19 games this year. The under has cashed in the second half of the Chiefs game. You saw it today. I mean, they literally went 5 punts and then a kneel down in the second.
don't
They
half.
get
give up
real.
a lot of
They,
points in
they
the second
you know, they
half.
get real conservative right now, right? They're feeding it to Pacheco a ton, probably, right? And they're because they don't trust their receivers, because their receivers lead the NFL. Their wide receivers alone had 25 drops this year. 25 drops. They had 40 something as a team. So both led the NFL.
That might be the best comment. I just saw the $5 by Jim Baker. He
Hold
just
on a
did the
second, Dan.
super
Don't
check.
jump ahead. Look at Dan. He's always
That
reading
is
ahead.
great.
Okay, hold
Dan
on,
Campbell.
Dan. Austin says this game felt like a movie. Unreal swing of momentum. Juan made one hell of a catch. He sealed a new contract tonight. Maybe somewhere. I'm not sure if he'll be here, but hopefully. Daza says it feels like every week we talk about the run D, and in the first half it was awful. Yeah, I mean they just got it wasn't just the run D like for big plays either. The Lions line was pushing the Niner front back. They were getting big yardage, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards on these runs. It wasn't like the Niners were, stuffing the run. The Lions were pushing the Niners around.
It was coming easy. Like the first 3.5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage were untouched yards in every run. I mean,
They
they
got
had
a first down on a 3rd and 12.
Right. They did whatever the hell they wanted. The Niners couldn't get off the field to save their life. They were done. They were literally done. Did anybody raise your hand if you thought the Niners had a chance at halftime?
But I had a caveat. The caveat was
I
simply
didn't.
it takes nothing more than the best half you've probably ever seen in playoff history from this franchise while the Lions are making a mistake or two.
That's the worst
I'll
I've
be
seen
honest. I'm going to be honest. I spent a good 2 or 3 minutes thinking about what desserts do they have in the press box up there that I could, because I know they sometimes have the what's called the Rice Krispie treats, right? Sometimes they get them, and sometimes. So I was thinking, how many of those treats could I get before the game ends? Because I was just planning the rest of my eating actually at that point. To be completely honest, I'd given up. You guys really, you really thought they were down 24-7? The way they didn't look like they could stop the Lions at all, and you really thought they had a shot. I'll admit, I don't like to quit on my team early. I'm not that guy. But I mean, down 24-7 in this game, I thought this thing was a freaking wrap.
They had
reason
a
I
shot. They had a shot only because they were down only 17. But
Yeah.
I could have made the argument that they should have been down by way more because
Yeah.
it just looked terrible. I
I'm
haven't
looking
seen the
at the
defense
fact
play that
that-
bad in a long time.
The Niners were getting the ball coming out of half. I thought that was
Yeah,
a
exactly.
little momentum shifter in the back of my mind. Okay, Niners get the ball. Hey, we put up 7, which didn't end up happening, right? They ended up kicking 3 out of half. But I wanted to jump in on the defense.
Yeah.
What I've hated, it's been a theme, is that this team has been late to get to the flat. Like, how many flat passes did the Packers and the Lions complete that are easy completions into the flat, and they're turning
It's
it
pitch and catch.
catching
I
it
mean, there's
and going upfield, and it's a 10-yard gain. So that's something they got to clean up. And the other thing is, how many 3rd and longs did the Lions convert tonight? Was there like a 3rd and 18?
Oh my God!
Correct me if I'm wrong.
You
3rd and
never.
18?
I was thinking to myself, what down and distance on 3rd down would I feel comfortable that they couldn't get? And I was like, probably about 25. If you get the 3rd and 25, maybe you could have a chance to get off the field. I mean, it just looked like they were going to do whatever they wanted. That's what was so scary when I watched the Lions the last month. I was like, wow, you know what? Goff can find Amon-Ra. The way Goff throws these kind of accurate, intermediate, and short lasers, and the way Amon-Ra's body control is so crazy, and his hand-eye is really good. His hands are really good. It's like they can almost just do kind of anything they want. It's like you can't really stop them if they really are in real lockstep, because Goff throws great ball in the short area, and Amon-Ra's perfect with the route running. So, yeah, I mean, every time they had 3rd and 18, something like that, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way they're going to get off the field. And they didn't. So, I mean, how about the one where Gibbs was a 3rd and 13 and he ran for exactly 13?
And Chase Young bit down on the line and gave
that
away
was
the edge.
It just didn't feel like the 49ers were coming back. And then the momentum swung on the forced fumble. And suddenly the Lions started to look kind of young.
I almost thought that it swung before then. Really, I mean, like Campbell, again, forget about the score. Forget about analytics. This is a possession. We're counting possessions here now. How much damage would you be negatively affected if you went back up by 3 scores in this game? And Dan Campbell said, yes, I would be negatively affected if the 3 scores that I am up doesn't include another touchdown, which was just the wrong way to think about it. Like year 2 of the Dan Campbell experience, you want to go ahead, you want to establish that culture. We're an aggressive football team now. I get it. That's a regular season choice. You got to put regular season choices away when you're in the postseason. And it's like, if the Niners are going to come back here, they're going to have to do something real special in their next 5 possessions.
They didn't name an MVP, right? There was no MVP, right?
Not that I know of.
Of this game? No,
they don't have an NFC game, open player of the game.
Ooh, that's a good.
Flav says
topic.
this. He says, "I think if this was the Super Bowl, Purdy wins the MVP. Can't wait to hear what the media has to say about game manager Brock tonight."
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what if this was the Super Bowl? Like, who'd be the MVP?
It has to be Brock.
Yeah,
it would have been Brock or CMC.
Yeah, it would have been. I think it would have been Christian McCaffrey. 20 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 4 catches, and 42 yards for Christian McCaffrey. I think his numbers end up getting it for him.
McCaffrey did have a hell of a night.
Some sweet blocks too from McCaffrey, just getting annihilated.
I love they got Juice involved in the game today.
Yeah,
20 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, McCaffrey was incredible. I thought it was amazing watching Laporta and St. Brown. That duo combined for 16 catches for 184 yards. My God, Laporta and Amon-Ra look like they're going to be, that's a nice.
They were ultimate zone
forward.
beaters. Ultimate zone beaters. It felt like every single time Laporta caught the ball, there was no one around him. He was just by himself. And
broken plays almost.
Basically, Kelsey had 11 catches on 11 targets. He was incredible. He could have been named MVP of the AFC Championship game if they were giving that out. And, I was where was Kittle in this game? Where was Kittle? Well, Kittle was in there blocking his ass off against Hutchinson. And there were 2 batted down passes at the line of scrimmage early. You go back to any game this year where that's happening to Brock, the 49ers usually lose that game.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Chris Jones is going to just, Chris Jones is going to get a couple.
I know. I was talking to Banks. I go, "Hey, Chris Jones, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, anybody who's playing defensive tackle, we're gonna be butting heads."
I'll take Chris Jones. I'll take him over Aaron Donald in a big game any day of the week. As long as Spags is calling that
Chris
defense.
Jones he's a beast. He's a Hall of Famer. Charles Menahue, by the way, did you see him today?
He got hurt. I don't know if he came back
Strip sack and got
he got hurt. I didn't see him get hurt.
Yeah.
Karlaftis too. I'm a big Karlaftis guy.
Karlaftis popped on the ball.
Super Bowl, but I think he's a really good defensive lineman.
He went
Purdue Boilermakers.
He went
the
to
Nick
Purdue.
Perkins fan club over here. All right, Mr. 33 Degrees says 49er D-line have got to press Mahomes and shut down Taylor Swift's boy toy to have a chance at this.
No Super Bowl preview yet. It's too early. Dude, let's bask in the moment that was the 49ers just winning a game that they should
forget the Niners for a second and let's dream big. What would it do to the channel, Kev, if we could get Taylor Swift on Wake Up? What would that do to Wake Up? Would that help our view count?
Well, I'm thinking about the premium subscribers, actually. How many premium? No, I'm kidding.
Well, we'd only release it to the premium subscribers.
It would be behind a paywall, obviously. No.
Of course, we'd have to do it behind a paywall.
I don't
we
know.
want to do the
Bruce,
responsible thing.
Kruger, and Swift shit talk media guys.
Damon and I are wearing those jackets with our like favorite players.
I know
If
that's
we
gonna be a
land
huge
Swift,
narrative.
bro.
If we land Swift, what do you give me if we land Swift for the channel?
Probably like 50,000.
We're gonna be in Vegas.
It would be something crazy.
And we do know the sandwich czar. There's no question we could we travel in big circles. D, what do you think?
Look
I
at
think
this.
you got
What's
a,
our-
you got a
what's
better
our
shot at
chances of
Kim
Swift?
Jong-un.
Do we have any chance at Swift on the channel?
Let's just start with Bonnie Joe Laughlin and see if we can work past that.
She knows Swift.
No, but I know her. We're not getting Taylor. So Taylor is in Japan apparently, like the night before the Super Bowl.
Really? Oh,
How do you
damn!
know
Otherwise,
that?
she'd be
How
on
do
with
you
us.
Tokyo, and she's going to fly back private plane, and she'll get a day back, so she'll actually be in Tokyo on Sunday, but then land back in Vegas on Saturday or something. I don't know. Look, I don't.
Kev, you're on that. You're on that, Kev.
Look
You're
at
our people and their
Breaking
people.
news: Taylor Swift will be losing a day.
Yeah.
Kev, you're on that. Okay.
So we got-
flesh that out for us.
Okay.
Thanks.
Kev, you get $200 this week for video editing if you land Taylor Swift. How
If
about
you can
that?
land Swift, we're gonna.
Yeah.
We're thinking
So we
about
got
maybe.
we got a big Super Bowl, and
maybe
there's going to be
we're gonna
more.
increase your office size.
Okay.
We got the big Super Bowl, and there'll be more talk of Christian Huchek than Kyle, and more talk of Taylor Swift than Travis Kelce in this.
Does that bother you,
leading
Danny?
week.
You seem very mad about that.
Yeah, it bugs me. Yeah, it bugs me.
Okay. All right. It's good honesty. It's good honesty. Flav says Tart showed up tonight, luckily in a Lions jersey. Oh, look at that. Do we
Yeah,
have to
that
take
is
a,
facts.
but do we have to take a drive-by on Jaquaski? I mean, at the end of the day, one of our favorite guys. Andy707 says, I'm sipping slow gin. Go Niners. Love ya. Slow gin. Try, all I'll say is if you drink gin and you're, playing golf or something, bring some water with you. It dries you out. You don't want to get dried out. SS says, you think we keep Chase Young next year?
No.
I thought Chase Young played one of his better games, to be honest. He had one big tackle for a loss, but I don't, maybe he'll make himself some big money with how he plays in this next game. The world will be watching. I thought he played pretty well tonight compared to the way he's played so far. But
Really? What did you think he did well?
well, I mean,
He had two good
to me, he
plays.
set the edge a couple times. He had one tackle for a loss. I know.
I don't know if
know.
I'm
He's
going
gonna be
crazy, but
fine.
I just keep seeing him extend his arm and just guys running right past him. I don't know if I'm going crazy if I just keep
Yeah.
seeing that. But
I saw it a lot on the TL.
I don't know.
I don't know if you guys talked about Nick
I'm going
Bosa
to tell
at
him you
all,
said
but I
that, by the way.
thought Nick Bosa was awesome today.
Oh,
And I was pushing back on kind of the Nick Bosa hate. I thought he was really good against the Packers too. People are looking at the sack column and seeing the 0 there, but he had multiple pressures against Love today. We saw the sacks show up. He got Goff, in a couple key situations. I think one of them ended up being another 3rd and long conversion, but nonetheless, Nick Bosa showed up and showed out, and we're going to need that again going against Pat Mahomes.
no question. Joe Castaneda says Gibson's going to start this game, right? Oh, yeah. What, do you think he got hurt? No, he's going to start. Andy says, go Larry, go Damon, and love all y'all here. There we go. Thank you, Andy.
Love.
I don't say all y'all enough.
You're not Southern. You shouldn't say it. It's not
I
your.
know, but I mean, I feel like it's the kind of thing that you say that people like you more after you say something like that. How all y'all doing?
It's convenient for sure.
Yeah.
Might be regional. Maybe it's more regional.
Doesn't
work
roll off
everywhere.
your tongue.
All y'all, or hi y'all. Jeff G, what a win. And thank you, Krug Show. What a year. Thanks for the content this year, Kev, Krug. Celebrate 24 hours, then back to business. Purdy will be the difference. 24
Not gonna
hours,
be-
Jeff.
Yeah, we're not celebrating.
We're
for
not
24
celebrating nothing. Kev's gonna demand I do some video and the show's over, and then I'm gonna have to do another one and another one. He just drives me incredibly. Otherwise, we'd be on easy street. But we are gonna go to Vegas and we're gonna produce a ton of content. And it's gonna be an amazing week in Vegas. Amazing week. Mr. 33 Degrees, no disrespect, but Dan Campbell gets a lot of respect for being an idiot meathead gambler, but I like him too. I do. Yay, Dan. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
It doesn't matter if it's 4th and 2 from the 2. I will not go with a dominant running back who's averaging 6 yards a carry. I will kick a field goal.
I'm going to
Lay
treat
down.
my kicker like he's got 3 toes and not even send him out there.
I'm going to, radically run this game when if I just settled for field goals across the board, I would have won probably by a touchdown.
Come on, Deese. Deese nuts.
How about, come on, Deese, do you need experience? I mean, he may have gotten out coached. I mean, I know everybody, we'll see how the national media handles it tomorrow because everybody loves everybody. And Dan Campbell's a favorite of everybody's and the Lions are darlings. And it's a great story either way. But it's not like it's some story either. He's a legit great football coach who's surrounded himself with a good D coordinator, a good O coordinator, a good GM, lots of great talent, and he's a motivator. They got a lot of good things going on there in Detroit, and it's real.
It'll be interesting though to see how they do next year.
But he gagged in this game, right?
I like Dan Campbell, but the one thing I will say is that they're definitely in the honeymoon stage with him, and that everything that he does is amazing and everyone laughs. If they have another postseason run that ends with terrible decisions to go on 4th down, that shit's going to get real old real fast. And they're going to be like, this doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Also, look at Philadelphia,
on.
how they losing their coordinators. They're going to lose Ben Johnson, and it'll be interesting to see who they bring in because
they're bringing in Fangio, and they're talking about who's the
Eagles,
former Arizona Cliff.
No, I'm talking about Detroit. When Detroit loses Ben Johnson as their
right.
offensive coordinator,
He's going to Washington.
That could change them next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and if you don't think so, go ask Philly how they feel about bringing in new coordinators.
You want to know who dodged the biggest media bullet though this week though? Maybe one of the biggest ever. Kyle Shanahan. Had this team petered out in the 3rd straight NFC championship game in a row and gotten its doors blown off, it would have just been a disaster.
Oh, I
It
know.
would have been a PR nightmare with every single negative opinion about Kyle Shanahan now brought to the point where it's indefensible. Like if you want to say that this guy only gags on big moments, what evidence would you have had to say, no, I think you're wrong about that. Let me tell you why I like it. It would have been one of those.
But the way that is too, that he doesn't have, there's real pressure and fake pressure.
Oh no,
he's got kind of fake pressure, right? Because he's got a $12 million house. He's got a long-term contract extension. The owner swears he loves him. The GM,
but it's a valid argument. It's a real valid argument now.
I saw takes on the
I agree.
I saw takes on my timeline that the 49ers needed to blow it up, get rid of Shanahan, and bring in Belichick. This is about halftime.
Well, Larry, I was thinking about, what you've been saying that, you can pay your coaches whatever you want. If this doesn't happen, maybe bring in Belichick as a defensive coordinator. I don't even know how that would work. Who's talking in the meetings? Like, what would Kyle have to say if Bill Belichick were also?
I've heard people. When you hear rumors like, "Well, Belichick's going to be on television," that's the worst television of all time. Come on.
Why would he do that?
That would be ridiculous.
Great personality.
I think way less of him if he went on television. Yeah. Don't go on television. But I'd think more. He's the kind of guy that would take a defensive coordinator position. I think if he thought he could win a ring, because ultimately that's what he wants to do. He's a coach.
But again, if you're Kyle, how would you even justify that? And then you do win.
Well, I think you know what?
You won it because Bill Belichick joined your staff. Like
I know. Well, here's the thing. It only works if some reason Wilkes wants to move on, and they win the Super Bowl, because then Kyle's not going to have Bill Belichick push him over the top. But if he gets the Super Bowl, he would gladly have Belichick probably help him win number 2.
How about Mike Vrabel as the defensive coordinator next year if he doesn't get a job?
That. But who would be the defensive coordinator? Like, dudes,
I bring in Vrabel if
Vrabel's a head coach,
but he's not if he doesn't get a job.
Fangio just
Dan Quinn leaving. Dan Quinn.
Yeah, Dan Quinn. There you go. Dan Quinn.
I'd take Dan Quinn.
That's if he's leaving Dallas.
Seems like a bit of a lateral move, though.
What do you guys
think?
Dan
Quinn going to stay in Dallas? Maybe he'll stay in Dallas.
What do you think, though, of the wide 9 with this defense? It seems to be getting torched on the run, and they're not getting any sacks. What's going on with Kaceric's line?
Yeah, it's they're not getting home. They're getting pressures now, but they're not. Bosa got home twice today, but the rest of them are not getting home. And today they got pushed around on the line of scrimmage. To me, the most disappointing part of this game was Javon Hargrave against Awasika, and the fact that I expected Javon Hargrave to dominate, and then they just kind of comboed Hargrave a few times and just totally eliminated him. He was just total non-factor.
Eric
that was
Armstead's
disappointing.
name didn't get used in this game really at any point in time either.
He had a tackle for a loss, I believe. Armstead had won, didn't he? He had a fumble recovery also. He had the big fumble recovery.
Who caused that? Was that Gibson or
Gibson.
That was Gibson who caused that. Andy 707 says, "You guys are the best. Love you." Thank you, Andy.
I just can't really recall any times where they just ran the ball into the line and the D line just kind of like suffocated them and just spun them
That
down.
didn't happen.
Yeah, one or two plays. That was it.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it. Otherwise,
Now-
it was they got at least 4. It felt like every time they ran it.
The postman in Capitola. I think that says, does that say oi oi oi?
It does.
Oi,
We
oi,
can-
oi.
There you go. It says oi oi oi. Is that what people call you now? Are you being? Can you be? If I go up to you on the street and I say oi oi oi, what do you do, Damon? Is there a special handshake or
Oh,
you
he's
hand out a
looking.
sticker or something?
He's
How does it
looking.
work?
Well, I know that you're clearly local and you know what you're
I
talking
work.
about.
I work mostly local. Yeah, I'm just kind of slumming it local.
Yeah, you're a man of Bay Area distinction.
Though Danny is international, behind the walls of Del Boca Vista, or at least different state. Oh, look at that! Now I'm in the dark. So they said it was motion detection. We'll see.
You just camp out there as long as you can. Just see
Larry
if you
Kruger
can.
needs to go in motion to keep the lights on.
motion detection,
Start jogging in place.
guys. I'm here. I'm still here.
You know, you're still well lit though, Larry. We can see you.
Yeah, you're fine.
You
All
don't
right.
look bad.
Okay,
You actually look
not as
better
well
than
lit
you
as
it's actually I'm better in like
You are.
softer lights. Yeah,
Mood
thank
lighting.
you.
Mood
Yeah,
Is he
lighting.
as
more
well?
mood
Are
lighting.
you as well lit as Damon though? Damon's had how many shots?
Damon's had a lot. Oh, look at that! Look at Danny lit. See how he
Play
see the
on
play on
words.
words.
It is a challenge, Dan.
Come on, go
I
for
think
it.
it is a challenge.
Chug
Dan.
it, chug it.
It's
I got to be up with Gianna on KPIX at 6:45.
that means that just for that. You know what? If you were one of my college buddies, just for that excuse right there, we'd have to make it 2 shots.
No,
Chug
because
it.
I got
Just-
to do a show with you. Then I got my own show. You get one more. First of all, I've been drinking since you were all in diapers.
Come on,
Except
don't
me.
wait a second. Wait before you take the one. I was gonna say before you had those kids, you would take 2.
Yeah, dude. Damon used to party.
You used to be somebody, man. You were a big deal there for a while.
Well, when they had that radio prestige,
Yeah.
it really
You
did a
really
lot
were.
for me.
You had it going there for a little while.
Now
all right.
I'm only rumored to be important by Ryan Leong in press boxes.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Wait until I tell you this one. This guy, another guy. I mean,
Tomorrow.
Remember,
Tomorrow.
behind the paywall tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Paywall.
exactly. Behind the paywall. And if did I break his jaw or not? We'll do a video on that, and then we'll put it behind the
$2.99.
payroll. The channel would get some bad pub. There would be some people that probably said, you know what, I don't want to listen to this anymore. But there'd be some people. We would open new frontiers, and we would get new viewers. Jeff G says, "Thank you again, Krug Show. First time, long time." Jeff, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. James Foster's in the house of regular. He says, "I'm sorry, Ryan Clark has to come on TV tomorrow and continue to lie to us about how good Brock Purdy is." Oh, that is awesome. The hardest
thing I had.
the hardest thing I've ever had to do is to listen to Ryan Clark talk about 49er football.
Did Ryan Clark, was he not honest with us originally, or is he not being honest about his producer telling him to change his mind?
Well, it's like when you find out one of your friends is like just involved in like some multi-level lie with some other friend that they have. Does that make you feel like your friend's less likely or more likely to lie to you?
Right.
Thank you. I'll be here all
Ponzi
week.
scheme? You work in Ponzi scheme? I would pay attention.
Jeff G has become a YouTube member. A little clap for Jeff G. Absolutely. Terrence Sullivan has become a YouTube member. Thanks to Terrence. Come on aboard.
Big T.
Big T. That's right. TS. The big TS. Old man Sullivan's kid. Chef Craig's 360. Just saying, hey, you know what?
Sprinkle it.
I'm Chef
I'm here.
motherfucking Craig.
I'm out
I'm here. That's my avatar. Bitches. Really? I mean, that's basically that's what that's about.
You can tell Larry's going to the Super Bowl. He's spicy tonight.
I'm spicy.
I'm
I'm
the one
feeling
doing
it.
shots. You're sitting in the dark swearing. I love it.
I'm sitting in the dark at Levi's. Oh man, what a night! What a night! And this was Candlestick. I'd have to encounter 3 raccoons on the way to my vehicle, but it's not. It's Levi's. Christopher Walker, fireworks in Visalia, California, after the win. LOL. That's
There's
the
a
land
lot
of
of fireworks going off here in the city.
that's
I
a
can
land
tell you
of
that right
that's a
now.
land of Visalia is the home of the great David Lombardi, and I met him and his wife in the parking lot before the game. Very very handsome couple. Jim Baker says Dan Campbell is that guy that gets dealt a 19 in blackjack and yells, "Hit me."
That's the one I was
Seriously,
cracking up
dude.
at.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Jim. Mongreen Eggcorn. Purdy avoiding the sack, scramble left, and drilled Juice for the tightrope first down. Elite gunslinger.
How about the footwork by Juszczyk on that?
Oh.
Just twinkle toeing.
Oh, I know. Juszczyk was just showing off tonight at times. He was so good. He was so good. Isn't it funny, too? You put the money on the table and suddenly, like, the big boys show up. All right, thanks for getting us here. Now I'll make all these super incredible plays. I went to Harvard. I'm smart. My wife's going to make millions, and I can tiptoe the sideline.
She's an entrepreneur, dude. Everyone's wearing her
She's
stuff now.
everywhere.
I mean, there's all the stupid, like, you have 2
Clay
weeks to
Thompson's
fill
repping her
narratives.
now.
Yeah, those narratives are going to be going wild. She's going to be making a lot of money.
This is way bigger than the big hat thing earlier in the year. Remember the big hat?
The big hat, yeah.
The big hat. Sherpagny in the house. I always told you we didn't need Lance, Larry.
The big hats weren't for me, but they always made me smile when I saw them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I wouldn't rock
I saw a
that.
big
but
hat today. Yeah,
It's kind of like a unicycle.
It's
You know
just
what I
so
mean?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're just like,
It's kind of like a unicycle. You wouldn't ever want to be riding a unicycle, but it looks kind of cool to see one.
Makes you smile.
Makes you smile. Hey, look at that person. They've got incredible balance.
By the way, a lot of Lions fans looked like they got in there tonight.
Oh, lots of Lions fans. Lots of Lions fans.
Also,
what a bad beat, by the way. You lost. You spent tons of money, and you're going back to Detroit in late January and first week in February. It's going to be freezing to watch the Niners in Vegas against the Chiefs in a game that you should have been in.
Right.
I mean, this is a bitter defeat for Campbell and for those young Lions. They're going to be awesome, though. To me, and I said it all week, I think I told Damon this, they are the 84 Bears. That's who they are. They're really, really good. They're coming. And next year, watch the heck out for the Lions. But this year, they're still just getting better. And the Niners if you said one word to describe tonight's game, I would say the Niners escaped with a victory.
it was like
2
last week.
weeks in a row.
This is what I was going to start the show off with when I said the negative and the positive, and I'll just do positive first.
Right.
This is my negative. I really, really, truly believe that they had to have like 3 or 4 things happen. And if those things didn't happen, they were going to lose this game. And those things were, I'll start off with the first one. Ayuk getting that 51-yard reception that was basically an interception and then just bounced into his hands. Obviously, just huge luck play. 2 fourth down drops by Reynolds. I tweeted out he was the 12th man on the 49ers defense. Like, that was just a huge, just momentum shifting both times, and he did twice.
Will the Niners give him a ring if they win?
Seriously, they should. And the Dan Campbell 4th and 3 deciding to pass when he's had Montgomery just running it down.
Right.
The throats the
Montgomery's
entire game.
rumbling, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, they can never stop that ever
Or
again.
kick a field
And
goal
then
to
they
tie
go
the game.
the next play, it's
Yeah.
flea flicker.
Right, they're picking
I
up
mean-
3rd and 12 on the ground, but 4th and 3, forget it. We're going in the
From
air.
the 30, and you can kick a
Yeah.
field goal to tie the game. I'm going to pass it.
Wait,
By
am
the
I
way-
am I crazy, or like was there not like 3 different like semi flea flickers in
2
that
flea
game?
flickers for sure, right?
2 for sure.
Sure. And then a half a flicker on one. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Not suddenly the guy who didn't make himself a lot of money tonight, or maybe he did, is the new Commanders coach. It was Ben Johnson. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like on one hand, yeah, you guys accumulated all kinds of great points this year, and you have some awesome young talent. But I mean, I don't know if he could say that he's some awesome feel guy. I mean, they literally could have put this game away if they just fed Montgomery about 5 to 10 more carries. He'd had as many as 32 on the year, And to only give, I mean, what kind of team averages 6.3 a carry with a 225-pound running back that nobody on the Niner defense looks like they have any interest in standing in front of? And you give him 15 carries, he goes for 6.2 a carry. You don't you don't hand him the ball on second and goal from the 2. You go for the Badgley field goal. I mean, Dan Campbell, the lack of experience, he blew this one, man. If this were a New York team, if this were a bigger market team, I don't know how they'll respond to Dan Campbell because everybody loves him. He's America's darling in Detroit. I don't know how negative they are, but Dan Campbell gagged. The Niners had a great comeback, but Dan Campbell gagged.
Some of the most egregious play decisions I've seen in a game. Just egregious.
He freaking gagged. There's no doubt.
What's the fix to this run defense? Is it moving away from the wide 9? I mean, that's kind of the Niners thing, but something's got to change. These are 2 games in a row.
You just need better. You need some safeties. I mean, you saw Jair Brown. Jair Brown is more of what they need. They need Gibson. They need another Jair Brown. Gibson's a good player in coverage, but he's inconsistent coming forward against the run. And he's not a great man-to-man cover guy either. So he's kind of heads up and heady and smart. And he's, he'll, if the ball's tipped in the air, he'll occasionally have a big hit. And he had a couple big hits in this one, but he's not this awesome run defender, and he's not a great pass defender.
By the way, a guy named Sean Hensley in the chat said this was a system opponent choke job. It really wasn't a system choke. But
I think they need a big lunch stuffer D tackle. They're not getting any movement up front. Like Armstead's good, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, and there's a bunch in this draft.
He's a leaner, taller, skinnier guy. Hargrave's more of a pass rushing defensive tackle.
They're going to have to go D tackle at least a couple times in this draft for sure. And
you might want to have you might want more snaps for Kinlaw out there. Look, there's no fixing it between now and here's a little dirty secret. Maybe the 49ers run defense just isn't that good.
And no, it's not. I mean, they lost. Think about who they lost, Damon. They had Tart, they had Ward, they had Mosley, they had Azeez Al-Shaair, they had Samson Ebukam, who was really strong at setting an edge. You lost 5 really good run defenders, and it's not surprising that their run D is not as good.
Well, and here's what they also had going for them all year: all the leads that other teams were throwing the ball and chasing the scoreboard. And I think the Niners.
That's their best run defender is their offense.
Yeah, the Niners' below average run defense was seriously covered up by an above average offense that kept the ball and put a lot of teams in position to where they had to throw pretty much exclusively in the second half of football games. So the Niners they got a little bit of an illusion that they got to cover up. And I'll tell you, the way Isaiah Pacheco was running today, like look out.
Look at Damon. Look at Damon. He's done this before. He's teasing ahead. He's teasing ahead in the show. Let's do this. Let me roll through about 10 of these, and then I got a question for you about the Super Bowl. Rocky Von Wagner says 49ers also played 2 poor games. Kansas City has played 2 of their best. It's time for a good one for us and an off game for Kansas City. Got to beat the best to be the best. Well said. Jim Baker says, you know what, Damon, here's $20. Purdy will end up 4-2 in the postseason in his first 2 years. Mahomes will have his 3rd Super Bowl ring, and while every quarterback will be chasing their peers, Mahomes will only be chasing ghosts. Name Tom Brady. Mahomes is special.
That doesn't sound good.
There's no question. Listings to leads, just saying, hey, you know what? There you go. Bernie's in the house. And he says Purdy to Ayuk play equals the immaculate deflection. Did Damon say that earlier?
I did. It wasn't mine.
Did you read the chat ahead, or did you?
No, it came. So during my post-game show, I said,
have you copyrighted it yet?
That was we got to name that. That was good. But the fluke to Ayuk is also very good. I like that.
Fluke to Ayuk.
I think also immaculate deflection is Lombardi's. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Chef Craig 360. Damon, debunk the conspiracy theory about scripted games, please.
Oh, I'm happy to. Are you ready? Here you go.
Wait a second. Wait, are you going to hold on a second. If you're going to do this right, just give Damon, if he's going to do it.
Focus in on Kevin if I'm going to do this right.
There we go. There you go. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Damon Bruce, and I would like to prove to you once and for all that not a single NFL game is rigged with a predetermined outcome. Because if it were, The Dallas Cowboys would be in every single Super Bowl. Not some of them, not a few of them, but all of them. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Look at that. Look at that. Okay, my wife, words of wisdom said, my wife Eva is wearing her lucky 49er thong. 4 kids with it. She delivered a win today, and one on Super Bowl Sunday equals 6. Show just hit the Vegas vibe. Look at
That's what I'm
that.
talking about.
TMI, maybe a little TMI for Kev. Kev's like, hey man,
Nice.
come on.
I just wasn't expecting that. I wasn't.
Come on,
looking at that
man.
comment.
Come
I'm
on,
glad to know
man.
who
I'm
loves
cooler
George
than
Mikan.
that. I don't hang. That's not the way I roll.
This isn't a granny panty show. We got thongs, man.
Yeah, seriously. Kev's like, are you kidding me? I could tell you stories. All right, listings to lead says the Niners stepped up in the second and half, but I think he meant second half. Bang bang Niner gang.
Bang,
How many?
bang.
What's the over under on the number of times, Damon, we will hear in Vegas next week the phrase "bang bang Niner gang"?
Like just from 95.7 the game hosts or fans too.
Oh, look at you! Don't take shots.
I've been taking shots. I'm feeling spicy.
You have been taking shots. I don't like to go that way. I like to treat everybody real friendly.
Say 350. I'll put it at 350.
350. Andy 707 says, "Go Niners!" Love it. Digital Drew's in the house. Cold night in Chicago, but he's watching. He says, "I have 3 ass cheeks. The Peyton clip offends me." Do we have a Dan Campbell?
One ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can I hear it one more time?
Knees bitten.
Doesn't matter if you have 1 ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
This just sounds like assaulting a disabled person.
I don't think that's.
I don't
really-
care if you can't stand up. You're sitting in a chair.
I mean, I like it, but
Make
at
you
the same
face.
time, it's kind of offensive. Words of wisdom. Said it on Damon's show. Wife Eva and I will be at Circa Saturday night. We got your first drink at Legacy Club. Best drinks in Vegas. Trust us. Great view.
All right. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if we're going to still be there on Saturday night. Maybe we can meet up earlier. Hopefully the wife will be rocking her lucky thong and we'll all party.
That was the last guy. Don't let's not confuse.
That is words of wisdom. It's also him.
Oh, okay.
It's one of my
Just making-
regs, Larry.
All right, just making sure. The last thing you want to do is confuse your wife in the thong story.
Yeah,
know?
Ava.
You just want to make sure you get that straight, like who's who.
You don't want to go up to the
Um,
wrong person and ask them if they're wearing their lucky thong.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's in a lot of situations. It's one of those like it's like your split finger fastball. You just want to spot it. Spot it a few times. Jaime Contreras says countdown to Super Bowl 13 days, 17 hours, 27 minutes. And since that's been sitting there for a while, it's probably not quite accurate. Daza says, what's happening with the D-line? Kacherik is considered one of the best coaches, and the D-line is indeed, but hardly dominant. I don't know what to say. It's like it's a weird thing. They've got a pretty decent group of guys, but then it's like they're not really overpowering. They don't have that overpowering guy either strength wise or speed wise. I guess Kinlaw could be considered overpowering at times, but
I mean, that's supposed to be Hargrave, Larry. Hargrave is
Yeah,
the
no,
one that
Hargrave's
I thought
supposed
had
to
the
be a-
dominant bull rush.
You're right.
I thought he was going to take over this game today. I was wrong. So, but
very
Hargrave is
disappointing. You'd
supposed
have to
be
say
that
Hargrave
guy.
was disappointing.
But I got a question. So looking ahead a little bit, like what would you say that the Niners do better than the Chiefs? Would you just say like offense?
What are the Niners? They travel better. Their fans travel better.
Like I was thinking about it. It's like Kansas City's defense is significantly better. Their
Well,
special
the Niners,
teams
the
is
Niners,
top notch.
the Niners defensive ends, Nick Bosa and Chase Young, should be able to win. Kansas City's had problems with their tackles all year. Their tackles have like 8 or 9 holding penalties each.
Niners
So the-
wide receiver depth, much better.
Yeah, I think the Niners
taking
probably
him
they don't have
over
Tyreek Hill.
McCaffrey.
They don't have I think the Niners corners could probably compete with the Chiefs receivers.
I guess I was thinking
I think
a
the
little more
Niners are
simply-
uniquely set to beat them because you could say Warner against Warner right now. I mean, guys, that's the other thing we haven't really talked about. Fred Warner had 13 tackles and he was just everywhere. He was everywhere. I mean, Fred
There was,
Warner really is playing at a high level.
one thing
He'd have Kelsey.
One thing that drove me crazy in this game today, though, was the play calling from Wilkes. I still go back to that 3rd and 18. If you're going to go only rush 4, they didn't even disguise it on that play. Like Warner wasn't even – the backers were 12 yards off the line of scrimmage, and it was obvious that there was only 4 rushing. And Goff had all day just to pick and choose who he was going to hit in that zone.
That's
Usually
what frightens me about the Chiefs. Like that's
usually
what their offense is.
Usually you see Warner up near the line like he's going to fake a blitz. You don't know if he's coming or not, and then he backs quickly into coverage. Both him and Greenlaw can do that, and they just went back and played this soft zone. And I couldn't understand. Every time I counted today, the Niners rushed 5. Something positive happened for the Niners every time.
I think that's a good point. Jay Rivera says Larry living in a stadium like Baker now. Emmanuel Kane says Niners fans since 1987 go Niners. Calba Kamiga says the atmosphere in the second half was electric. This win was great because it puts our Niners in the Super Bowl and delays us focusing attention on the milquetoast Giants for another 2 weeks. It's true. It's true.
Kalba, I definitely agree with Kalba. The second half, the intensity definitely picked up. I could feel it there. In the first half, I got to be honest, I was very disappointed with my section, 108. I was turning around. This is when the Lions have the ball.
Right.
And no one was making noise in my section, at least not enough people. I had to turn around and say, guys, let's pick it up. Let's make some noise. But second half, Niners fans, they turned it around along with the 49ers, more importantly, on the field.
How does that make you feel knowing that you have to be the guy in your section to motivate your section?
I really felt like I had to do it today. The intensity wasn't there, except for the guy directly to my right. He was cool, but I was turning around trying to get guys in. Again, there was an older group behind me, so I couldn't get on the older crowd too much because they probably can't – anyway, but there were some young guys who were being quiet.
Paul, I'll give it to you.
Hey, let's make some noise. It's 3rd down. We got to be loud. So
there were more.
Anyway, they picked it up in the second half. They're learning. They're learning, fellas.
Good. We want growth.
There were multiple things said in the presser about how loud Levi's was today. So that's on you, Baller. Congrats.
Thank you.
Meme Friends. Meme Friends says $4.99. Thank you, Meme Friends. Senior softball games is a regular. Eminem flipping out of crowd and then they choke. What's he saying there?
So Garner Johnson absolutely was like waving goodbye to Niners fans in the
Was he?
second quarter. Oh yeah, he was.
Can I pull it up?
Put my tweet up, Kev.
Yeah, that was the Dan.
What? I didn't see that.
referencing.
I was on Twitter actually until Kev made some moves, and now I'm not really on right now.
Not really
kind
my
of
fault, but yeah.
kind of just chilling out on the side.
Yeah. Larry's locked out of Twitter right now.
I'm locked out of Twitter right now. So I mean, I couldn't. I'm not part of the fun and games. I'm not invited to the reindeer games.
Check this out. This was at the second quarter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I put that up and said, enjoy your flight back to Detroit, you loser.
Oh my God. He was feeling it. He was feeling himself.
By the way, you just know there was some guy who's got, car executive money or wherever the big money in Detroit now comes from, who came out to this game and was on the phone with his boy, just being like, yeah, man, non-refundable, pick him up. I'll see you in Vegas. See you. Yes, get the Rain Man suite. We going. Go. Do it now. Spearmint Rhino, book the limo. Tell Debbie we're coming. They were putting all that. Lions fans, you should be going to the Super Bowl.
Seriously.
It's gonna be a rough week for Lions fans.
You want to see Debo's response to?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Yeah, let's see that.
Let's see it.
Hold up. I tweeted it out here. This is
should be good.
Debo. Let me see.
There was a lot of chatter between you and CJ Garner Johnson the whole week, just seeing the personal foul early game. Just how does it feel just after this?
Hey man, you got to get me when I'm looking. That's the only way you're gonna get me.
Because he got cheap shotted. Yeah.
Short but sweet.
Is he wearing a snake skin jacket?
It looks velvet.
No, I think it's snake.
Really?
That looks like one of those things where like you maybe you bring 2 outfits and just You know,
Maybe I should
just
get
'cause
one.
You can't rock that if you lose. the
Should
game.
I get one for Vegas?
I saw Damon commenting on the why does Purdy have 2 backs?
Yeah, Purdy walks into Levi's tonight. He's got a travel bag with him and a backpack to
He's
go
because he's probably got to go. Maybe one's to go to the Pro Bowl. Oh no.
No, but I'm saying so he's literally in the locker room that he's in every day. Why is he bringing so much stuff? Do you bring
Maybe he's having a
pajamas?
sleepover at a friend's house.
People were joking. Maybe he's bringing the receipts from all of his haters so he can read them at the post game press conference. But seriously, what is a guy who's in his home locker room bringing 2 bags of shit to his locker on game day? I'm not criticizing. I'm just wondering what he's got with him.
What are you claiming Androstine Dione or anything? I mean, what is this?
No,
Are you
nothing
looking through
serious.
Mark
Hey,
McGuire's locker?
Maybe
What
one
are we
back
talking about?
Maybe one bag's for the trophy.
Yeah, maybe he's got one bag for the Lombardi.
I don't know. It's not like he's on a road trip.
Yeah, I just want to
Maybe
hear.
his brother Chubba's coming up and they're gonna go play golf in the morning. I don't know.
Chubba.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, these are questions that all have to be asked. Jason Birch says we want the Chiefs Ravens
Revenge.
Oh, the Chiefs revenge. Yeah, there's no question. I mean, this is going to be a revenge game either way.
Yeah.
Would you rather have revenge on the Chiefs or on the Ravens? To
Chiefs.
me, I was thinking Ravens just because they really blew it, and John Harbaugh's still there. It's still the same, deal. But I mean, Mahomes, it would be sweet to beat Mahomes.
Well, you
I
know
mean,
what's
let's be
interesting,
honest.
Larry?
If Brock Purdy's going to get his, he has to beat Mahomes in this game. That's just the way it is. We're a weird culture. He's a smaller guy, this and that, 7th round pick. We have preconceived notions that we're not getting over. If he's really going to have his seat at the table, he has to beat Mahomes. The way that Montana had to beat Marino in 84. Yeah. It's very similar, I think, in a lot of ways.
Larry, it's interesting because it feels to me just like this is Kyle's year to exercise all these demons. We've seen can't come back in the 4th quarter down more than 5 points. Check last week. Down 17 at half. He was up supposedly with Atlanta, even though he wasn't running the defense. Blows a 28-3. That's all on Kyle. They come back. They blow the game against the Chiefs in Super Bowl up, 10.
4 years ago.
Get a chance to go back against KC. The non-call against Bosa, the holding against Eric Fisher on the big play to Tyreek Hill. Referee, Bill Vinovich. Who's reffing this Super Bowl? Bill Vinovich.
Oh, what are you saying, Danny? The fix is in?
I don't believe in a fix. I just believe in that things can, just turn around. Things happen weird ways. In fact, I would love for you to get this narrative out in the public before the Super Bowl.
What, Farhan's got to go?
Ask Bosa or Kyle. Hey, that big play that happened in the Super Bowl, the non-call. Will you be talking to Vinovich about watching for the holds on Bosa? Because he doesn't call holding, Vinovich. He never does.
Well, I don't know if here's the other thing too. These games, like a game like today, they decided not to throw any flags, basically. You had guys hit out of bounds and stuff, and they just said, we're not going to really flow.
How about the late hit on Purdy, the helmet? They bloodied his lip.
I saw that. I saw that.
It was a lot easier to see on the replay than in real time, though. But that was helmet to helmet.
But lead archer says Jennings needs more love. That one-hander was fire. We got this one from Bebop 1988. Larry, get Grant on. Damon's being a wow. Oh, come on. Let's be nice.
What's Grant going to talk to me about? Football? Right, how's he going to do that?
Let's not all get all rankled. Titus Moeller says, do you think the struggles we've been seeing from the 49ers in the playoffs may be a side effect of a weaker NFC West, less battle-tested?
No.
I don't think so. It's just bottom line is you're going to face good teams in the playoffs. That's why they have parades. This Lions team, I'm telling you, is going to be, first of all, I hope the people who watch our show and channel understand that we kind of know what we're talking about. We told you that Green Bay was going to be tough, and people got all mad. Oh, Green Bay, they're going to win by 28, blah, 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 blah. And it was an incredibly tough game. It was like pulling teeth. It was almost lucky. And I told you again this week. People were like, oh, Larry, Damon, this is on Monday. You guys are crying wolf again. Last week it was Green Bay. Now Detroit's awesome. Okay, now the game's over. Do you know what I'm talking about? Now that you've watched them really up close, you know what I'm talking about? Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams and Montgomery and Gibbs and Laporta and, I mean, they're just stacked. They're stacked with blue chippers, and they're going to be freaking great if they get a couple more players, and the Niners won't be able to compete with them in a year. But this
that was
year,
the one team that scared me for the last
they're a year
month
ahead.
or two. When you kept saying, who do you fear in the Niners? I kept saying Detroit over Dallas and Philly.
You kept
I
saying
liked Detroit because of the running game.
and the weapons. I mean, their talent's legit.
That said,
Flames
Larry,
is-
I got to go against that, Larry. I honestly,
You don't think so?
I think they might be kind of like, I think this was like their chance because I think Ben Johnson
Really?
gone next year. And then think about all the praise we heaped on Green Bay last week. Like Green Bay's
Yeah,
even
Green Bay's
younger.
good.
They're only going to get better.
Right.
So they're
I
going to be
think-
battling. I don't even know
I
if
think
they're
Green
going
Bay
to win
Detroit's going to be a battle royale. Maybe, who knows, if Caleb goes to Chicago and has got some magic, maybe that division is going to be on in the next,
All I know is it always moves way faster than you expect. And the Eagles last year were the new up and coming team, and now they're like the new going down team. So I don't know.
Yeah.
is great.
Also, you got to be
Although
healthy.
I like
mean,
their
you need some luck.
coordinator hires. I like who the Eagles, Kellen Moore. I know he kind of flopped with the Chargers, but I think he's good. And then Fangio will be better for the Eagles than whatever the hell I just saw from them this year.
That's right.
Well,
Fangio's
I think the
gonna make them
Niners
better.
needed this win big time because I think their window is a lot shorter than a lot of people think. I don't
I
think
agree
this
with Dan.
window's
I agree.
very open, very long.
I mean, now, first of all, I don't know if I can talk about windows when they keep drafting great players and they have Purdy, who's 24, and Shanahan's not old. To me, it's like, what do you really need to win a Super Bowl? You got to have the quarterback, you got to have a head coach, and then you got to have a defense. And it's like, and an O-line, obviously. And they're not that far away. They've drafted pretty well most years under Lynch. So if they just, if they find themselves a couple offensive linemen, and, they're always adding players, even late day 3 guys that wind up being players for them.
The only thing I
Elijah
worry
Mitchell,
about,
who
though,
scored
Larry,
today, was
is
6th-round
paying Purdy. When you pay Purdy, what are you going to lose?
Yeah, you're going to lose some. You're going to lose Hargrave types and maybe Armstead, maybe Juice. You might not be able to have a
We're a
$40
couple
million
years away.
fullback.
Yeah, it's
A couple
look at
years
it this
away.
way. You're in the Super
Yeah, it's a
Bowl.
couple years away.
It's not the time to talk about the offseason and plan for the future. You're in the Super Bowl. If you can't live in the vacuum of the 4 next quarters of football are the only thing that fucking matters, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
talk
I
about the
kind of agree with
offseason in
that.
the offseason.
Yeah, that's true.
Flav says, what if the only quarterbacks that can beat Mahomes in the playoffs are ones that weren't drafted until the 6th round or later? I'm betting huge on BCB. Let's effing go.
That's funny. Conspiracy.
Okay. We got this one from
The script.
Stagai Bob. You're the best, Krug. Always giving a great analysis, even if it goes against the mainstream views. Thank you. And often does. I listen every day at work. Keep it up and go Niners. Appreciate you. I appreciate all the people, by the way, I met today in the parking lot going from the broadcast to the game and back and forth. A lot of Niner fans listen to the show. A lot of people taking pictures, talking to a lot of people who love the Krug show. And people are, where's Kev? I'm like, Kev's got class, man. And, he can't go to football games like this, not only on Christmas. And Kev's 0 for 1, by the way. He's kind of a hex at this point.
Seriously.
We can't bring
They won't let me in the building anymore.
When they play that day in the
know.
Raven, I mean, he can't come again. I mean,
Should we have Kev come to Vegas? I don't know.
I don't know. We might get into a bad
Yes.
accident or something.
Sleep in the
No, I'm
car.
just joking. We want Kev to be there so we can. Somebody's got to plug everything in. All right. I'm just joking. You mean so much more than that. Okay. Ron Hubbard says regarding Wilkes, I'm not saying he's amazing, but lost to Fonga, replacing him with a 3rd-round rookie. Oliver was our big defensive back signing, and doesn't start. Had to coach up Thomas and tried counting on Verrett. Yeah, I hear you. It's not all Steve's fault. It's not like they're sitting there. Nobody, I don't think any real fair-minded 49er fan is sitting there going, Steve Wilks is the reason.
He
know,
did shut
Just
him
go
down in the
back to
second half, though.
freaking booth.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
shut
like to
him
have
down
DJ
until the
Jones.
last minute of the game.
If you say what would I like? I'd like DJ Jones. I'd like a defensive tackle that was just an absolute monster against the run.
Did we get an injury update on Ambry Thomas? Ambry Thomas looked like he had an ankle.
Kev, can you look that up?
By the way, it looked like Ambry Thomas had an interception there too for a minute.
Oh,
didn't
man. Then that wasn't the other one. I thought this is not our night. This is not the Niners' night when he looked like he's going to pick off the pass and then it falls into the receiver's hands.
That the momentum was starting to turn back to Detroit, and then it all,
Bebops is
no
definitely
field goal.
Chiefs. We flat out lost to the Ravens. We let the Chiefs come back. Penalties or not. I don't know about that. The Ravens game was so bitter at the end. Dylan Bata says, thank you. Thank you for watching there. We got this one from B-Hop. He says, Damon, I'm giving you a hard time. I love you, man.
Love you too.
Nothing but love on this show. Tony Nagatani. Hey, Tony. He says, an extremely elder millennial who lived through the Montana to the Chiefs trade. I'm so stoked to see my two favorite teams square off in the Super Bowl. Revenge time. Niners going to right the wrongs of 2019. Let's effing go Niners. Tony, did I do it? Did I do your
Nagatani
chat justice? And then we got this one from Jonathan Aprisa Hernandez. Jonathan Aprisa Hernandez has become a YouTube member.
Hey, guys, I got to jump.
What? In the middle
I know.
of Jonathan Aprisa Hernandez's, was it something that Jonathan did?
Oh no, I figured the show's basically over after that.
After the new members,
yeah,
we started clapping for new members. I was actually. Let me just ask one last question, Ryan. Then you can get.
Yeah.
All right, I want go around the room. We'll start with Ryan. Give me your breakdown of the Niners Chiefs as you see it going into this game. I mean, there'll be all the dialogue, all the matchup talk. But before you read anything, just watching the Chiefs today and what they did in Baltimore, watching the Niners all year, what do you guys anticipate we're going to see in this game? Let's go around the room. Ryan, you go first. What kind of Super Bowl is it going to be?
I mean, I can't get into predictions yet. I got to start really thinking about that. But I do think it's a really bad matchup for the 49ers personally. I know we did that thing last week where it was like, who do you not want to see in the Super Bowl? And I said the Chiefs, because I just think that well, first of all, they're 3-0 versus the Niners.
Dusty Gold says Rise a show killer. Just absolutely.
Sorry, Dusty.
Look at that. It's just people just pissed right now.
I honestly, I'm afraid of Spags. I'm not afraid to say that I am afraid of Spags. Spags is he's probably as good of a big game defensive coach that there is. I mean, he was a coordinator for those Giants teams that beat Brady. Dude is just an absolute stud. I'm just scared of Chris Jones. I'm scared of those cornerbacks. Like, their defense is like an A+ defense. I think the Niners defense is like a B+ defense, and their coordinator is awesome, and ours is pretty good. I think the Niners, the only way the Niners win this game, I think, is to get up early and to basically have it go the Shanahan way. He's been trying to exert his will on these first two games, and it just didn't really work out, and they still found a way to win. I think that they're going to have to follow the Shanahan script, get up and just run the hell out of the ball and let the boys tee off. Because also, here's another thing. The special teams for KC is just awesome. Butker's awesome. He's like second to maybe Tucker. Their punter, Townsend's awesome. So I just think, like, in all the phases of the game, I do think the Niners have a slight advantage offensively, just in the run game, the way they control the ball. But they everything else, I kind of think goes. Yeah, Nick Bolton. I mean, and it's weird. You say, like, maybe the one advantage is their offense, and the other team has Patrick Mahomes. So that worries me.
Exactly. The fact that Mahomes is also this incredible competitor. We'll flip it over me and go over to Damon. Damon, then we'll go on that way. Damon, what do you think? Niners Chiefs, first thoughts on next week.
Yeah, I'm right in lockstep with Rye. I hate to say it. I think the Niners are probably going to lose the Super Bowl. I'll tell you this. Anything that looks like the last 2 weeks, they're 1,000% losing the Super Bowl. They're going to have to play their best football game of the year. They're going to have to put together defensively what they've not found against the run in the last handful of games. And do not wait for Andy Reid to screw it up the way that Dan Campbell did tonight, because he won't.
No.
Andy Reid, with multiple weeks to prepare, is about as unstoppable coaching force as we've seen. Mahomes is Mahomes. The cliche is what wins championships? Well, Kansas City's got a better one of them too. So it's all uphill sledding. Gamblers, if the Chiefs are getting points, take the points and let it roll. The 49ers, you got a, worse than a coin toss's chance to win this game. I bet they lose it 2 out of 3 times. So hopefully that'll be the one time where they won't lose the game, because they have no track record of success against the Kansas City Chiefs to point at and say, okay, this is different now. McCaffrey's more ingrained. That's Christian McCaffrey goes bonkers. George Kittle goes bonkers, like Super Bowl record level bonkers. Ayuk, Debo, somebody has to have a holy shit, I'll never forget having watched it game in my life for the 49ers to win. I don't think they're winning a close game. I don't think they're winning a shave and a haircut game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't mean to wrap up a night as exciting as this one on a negative note, but
yeah, I mean, you're really harsh on our.
Be concerned with
you're harsh on our vibe, man. I mean, we're having a nice post game show, and you just come in here with a
look. I got a big day tomorrow. I'll get out of your hair. I'll get out of your hair right here and now.
Why you got to be a downer on us? I mean, no. But let me ask you before you go. Kansas City. Obviously they got Pacheco and Kelsey, but I mean, Justin Watson, Marquez Valdez, Rashee Rice. I don't think any of those.
Been nice lately.
Rice has been really good.
No, I know, but none of those guys are Amon-Ra. I mean, once you've defended Amon-Ra, and I like Green Bay's receivers way more. And then I also think Bosa and the Niner defensive ends should be able to beat Donovan Smith and Jaywan Taylor.
Donovan Smith leads the NFL in penalties, holding penalties.
Yeah, if that's the case, then the 49ers could maybe bother Mahomes. I know what you're saying, though. I like Nick Bolton.
So far. A little
scary. Chris Jones is literally Mean Joe Green and Reggie White all wrapped into one every time he plays the Niners.
Is going 9 for 97. What's Kelsey going to do?
Yeah, I mean, L'Jarius Sneed could be able to take away Ayuk potentially.
By the way, did you see that Travis Kelsey now has more postseason receptions than Jerry Rice, new NFL record? That's incredible. That's incredible.
Right. That's right.
No, Chiefs are good, man. There's a lot of things the Chiefs aren't supposed to be, but yet they continue to be the Kansas City Chiefs in all these scenarios. Like, they're not this, they're not that, and the other team is this and that. And then at the end of the game, Chiefs win. It happens a lot, man. It happens a lot.
Disgusting.
So it's got to be a masterclass from Kyle Shanahan. He's got to be perfect. The Niners are going to have to play almost perfect football to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And maybe with 2 ugly ones in a row, that's next up on tap for them. And hopefully it is. I got a 6:30 tomorrow with Gianna. I got Wake Up with You, Larry, at 8 a.m.
You're a very busy man. You've got a lot going on.
And it's my wife's birthday. So my wife punched. We saw the 49ers punch the ticket to the Super Bowl on my wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Jillian. And look, to end on a super positive note, I can't even tell you how much fun I've had with you guys in my first year here on YouTube. I'm the novice. You guys know more about this than I do. Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you for making me part of your clique and your group here. It's been really special. And I thank all of you, especially you, Larry and Kevin. It's been an awful lot of fun. And I can't wait to see what this is 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now. Radio stations should be shitting their pants. Thank you very much for being with us here tonight. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
We appreciate everything you've done. But show up tomorrow with your playbook. Coach would like to meet with you.
Take care.
We have some things we need to talk about. The budget's getting tight, and we're thinking about different directions. And like that, he's gone. All right, Jabus. Can you fire Damon from our YouTube show? That wouldn't be right. Jabez says Kittle said he'd he'd be back and with a vengeance. He is back. And then how about this one? RG Teamster. Purdy did what Lamar could not do. That is amazing. All these people, I can't mention Purdy with Lamar. It's like, and then it's like Purdy is in the Super Bowl and Lamar loses at home. Titus Moeller says Brock has his backpack because he's always coming to the game after having crushed his philosophy final. Joking, but that's a meme because he looks so young. It does. He does look like, he definitely looks like a college student. McCartier says, I wonder what Nick Wright will say later. He'll probably talk a lot about the interception, and there probably could have been 3 more if you really look closer. D Freshness 2006. Rather see the Chiefs over the Ravens, though, right? After Monday night's wreckage at home with 4 Purdy interceptions. What do you guys think? Would you rather face the Chiefs, or would you rather, knowing that you want to get the ring, which one's going to make it easier to get the ring? Going against Kansas City or going against Baltimore?
I mean, it's
last week when we talked,
What's
I
that?
said last week I said I wanted the Chiefs, but
Right.
after watching them today, I'm
Be careful
like,
what you wish for.
dang, they're peaking. I mean, they're like in a different mode because they were not that.
I mean, they're
good
off.
this year.
One thing I do feel like I maybe set us off onto a little bit of a negative thing, and then
You've really. I don't
yeah,
like what you've done with this
I
channel.
will say, they're the faucet, their offensive faucet got completely shut off in the whole second half,
as it has all year.
as it has all year. They were, however, pretty much perfect in the Bills game on offense, and probably should have beat them by much more.
Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, again, I would have rather them play the Ravens. Like, people are so caught up in the fact that, Brock threw all those interceptions versus the Ravens, but also they outgained him by a shit ton in the first half. And like over a long period enough sample, like usually that means the Niners are up a bunch.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like I kind of, even though I don't mind the Chiefs, because to me, for Brock Purdy, I think he's not really getting full redemption until he beats Mahomes in this game. There's always going to be these people who are like, yeah, but if he had faced Mahomes, so now he is going to face Mahomes. So it's like, ultimately, if he beats Mahomes, it's going to be like Montana beating Marino.
And it's going to be doing what Jimmy G couldn't, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Brock Purdy's 1 win away from,
undeniable affirmation.
Right. There'll be no more Ryan Clarks. There'll be no more Amy Trask. 7 terrific quarterbacks and Brock Purdy.
What are the odds that clown from The Ringer actually follows through? If Brock Purdy does win that Super Bowl,
Steven Ruiz.
Steven Ruiz, yeah. Oh, I mean,
he
he
would
won't.
not cover football anymore. He ranked Purdy in the 20s in his QB ranking. So
No,
what
do you see his? I gotta say, I almost
Drake May ranked above him.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I almost respect the hustle
Drake
so much
May.
because he has like Tom Brady and like Drake May and like all these draft picks and shit in front of him. It's pretty funny. Sorry, I screamed because I thought that was $100. Is that 100 pesos?
Where?
Somebody
Where?
just donated?
Yeah, that's
Mex-
pesos.
Okay.
We got J Mill says, Larry, you be petitioning for Jane Goodall. No. We have this one from Bebop 1988. Brock Purdy is still growing, could hit 6'3". This one, Bubba Jones 15 has become a YouTube member. Thank you, Bubba. Little clap.
See, everyone's just signing up because they know the paywall content's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, they're waiting for Taylor Swift later this week because Kev said, if you guys are just tuning in now, Kev guaranteed that when we go to Vegas, that he can get us Taylor Swift. And
Even though she's in
AI
Japan.
Taylor Swift.
And we were
Yeah, I
like,
feel
come
like
on,
Len,
Kev,
I'm
you
surprised, like,
can't
Len-
guarantee that. And he's like, I guarantee it. So next week in Vegas, I mean, I just, if I don't want to do it on Friday. Okay. So like if she want, I'll do it like any other day, but Friday, because we got a lot going on.
I got
Friday.
Taylor on the phone. She says you can do Friday. You're like,
Friday's
I don't
not going to be
usually
good because we got that thing at Benihana.
we don't
yeah,
usually stream
yeah.
on Fridays. Can you do Saturday?
Yeah, we're gonna remember we're doing that dinner at Benihana. We're not gonna be able to make it that night with Taylor. No, maybe we'll make an exception. What the heck? Bubba Jones says Bubba Jones 15 has become a YouTube member. When we got this one from Jonathan Apiza Hernandez, and it's what is that?
It's 100 pesos, which is sick. That means that he probably is watching the show from Mexico.
100 pesos is how? What's the Danny? I mean,
I want to say it's like $3 or $4.
what?
Don't quote me on it.
No, that's not. There's no chance.
Why? What do you mean? Why is there's no
That's like
chance?
$20. Let me see.
Let me do.
Oh
the-
no, you're right. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
$6.
$6.
Yeah.
I thought
Well,
it
there
was
you
like
go.
1 to 5. I didn't think it was like.
Thank you, Annie.
It's
Thank
not
you,
about the
Jonathan.
amount. You guys are so greedy. God.
No, I'm just. Yeah.
I mean, you're
Yeah, but just
so
wait
greedy.
till those pesos are going up, man. You know. Yeah, you should start like having people only pay you in like very volatile bitcoins and stuff. And
I'd like
just
to
see
be.
if you
I'd like to
can't-
get my money in kind of a speculative market.
Yeah, exactly.
You can donate stocks from Robinhood.
You know, I don't want to have a firm handle on what I'm making in any of these shows.
No, you want it as vague as possible.
I want this very
euro is on the
vague.
rise.
Right, Danny? This is what I want for tax purposes.
There we go.
Bay Area, that's why Danny's here. He's the brains of the operation. Bay Area says Detroit and Green Bay both have better offenses than Kansas City. If the 49ers can find a way to stop the run, the 49ers will beat the Chiefs soundly.
The run will be the key.
Yeah, I
Isaiah
wanna jump in
Pacheco,
on that.
take him out.
Going back to your
Yes.
original question, though.
Yes.
about, what was it like? What will the Niners do? Will they win? They cannot play how they've played it in this 2024 postseason and expect to win against the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not going to have Jordan Love making mistakes at the end of the game to save them. They're not going to have dumb coaching decisions made by Dan Campbell to save them. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They're going to play a sound game, and they have Spagnuolo on defense. They have a good defense. They're going to have to
Chris
to
Jones.
play an actual consistent good game of football if they expect to win. There's none of this like
Doesn't it kind of
mistake,
feel
yeah.
weirdly like almost like because they like I'm so used to Kyle in these 49ers in like a majority of the playoff games they play, they get the lead and beat the hell out of the other team, and it's kind of like pretty comfortable. It kind of feels like just the fact that these two games went this way, it does kind of feel a little bit like, I don't know. They could absolutely just come out firing on the Super Bowl.
Well, it is weird. I mean,
I said that last week though.
I said that last week though.
Yeah,
You
no,
did.
so did I.
it is weird though, because it's like, do you guys think that before kickoff the spread will go to being the Chiefs being favored?
I do, because right
No.
now DraftKings has it.
Yeah, but Dan, that's all these like dumb public people. Like they're all just absolutely shocked to see that it was at 2.5. Like this is gonna get bought back. I bet
it's at 1 right now on DraftKings, and FanDuel's 1.5.
The Mahomes
It'll be
underdog
2.5.
thing, though. The Mahomes
It'll be
under-
2.5 again.
You
the
think
Mahomes
Niners will go
underdog-
back up to plus 2.5?
Yeah.
Really?
Mahomes
Why?
the
Just
underdog
because of
trend is pretty strong.
because it's Vegas and it'll be proliferated with Niner fans.
I think it's just I think that like all of the like underlying things like say that this 49ers team's like one of the best teams of all time. It's kind of the same
Wow,
thing with
they-
Baltimore. Like that's why the Baltimore line, no one could explain like why the hell is this Baltimore line? It opened 3. Why is it 3.5? Why is it 4 now? Why is it 4.5 at kickoff?
I was really surprised the people who bet on the Ravens today, because I mean, you were taking Lamar, who doesn't win in the playoffs, the Ravens, who have Zay Flowers and mediocre receivers, totally mediocre running backs, tackles that weren't all that great. They're a clear bully team, and Mahomes and Kelsey. You knew that the stage was not going to be too big. They've won championships. They've won multiple championships. When you've won multiple championships, you're kind of immune to Baltimore-itis, which seems like what every other team in the league gets when they play the Ravens in Baltimore. You knew Kansas City was not going to be bothered by that. I bet Kansas City today, and I was like, you know what? I feel like Kansas City is I'll take a Mahomes against Lamar bet every day of the week. And then I'll take the Chiefs with, Pacheco, Kelsey, and Rashee Rice. We've been hearing about all the weapons the Chiefs don't have. Those 3 guys give them 3 decent weapons. And if you can see the way that Andy Reid's playing, he's basically just said, you know what? If you're not good, I'm not using you. So he's got like a bunch of guys on his roster. They're really thin. So if they lose like Kelsey or Pacheco or Rice, they don't have anything. But those 3 guys give them 3 legitimate weapons. And if Mahomes can run around, which he can, and he's got 3 legitimate weapons, including a runner, they can score some points.
Not
And the
to say,
Kadarius Tony thing was weird that came out today. Right? I don't
Yeah,
know if you
that
saw
was
it.
weird.
No, I
So
didn't see it.
frustrating too, because he just like if it wasn't for him, like they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl last year. It's just like,
What, that
How-
he was inactive, you mean?
yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
why.
He came
He
out
was-
and said like he's like, I'm fully healthy. Like what's going on?
Oh, I
And
didn't
she
hear
said the
that.
Chiefs are lying that he's fine and he's
What,
not
they just
hurt.
don't trust him, you mean? Or is he hurt? Is he not hurt?
The Chiefs are saying that he's hurt. Not only that, that's why he's inactive. He's also having a kid, but that he's hurt. And then Kadarius Toney went on Instagram Live and said, "I'm not hurt. They lying on my name. I'm not hurt. I'm fine." And it's all
Just
it was just
crazy.
weird. I would not expect Kadarius Toney to be active in the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't.
Sounds
think
like
so
he'll be
after that.
available on the trade market this offseason. I'll tell you right now, I'd take him because I know he lined up offsides and
No, dude, he sounds like a head case.
he does sound like a head case, but man, they call him the human
Another
joystick.
Antonio
I mean,
Brown.
he's everywhere. I mean, that guy's stop and start ability, that guy's body control. I'd take a chance on him. My
Hey,
God, that guy's
not
a
to
playmaker.
not to switch it up, but I
Yeah.
want to point this out. Ryan made a really good point way back
What?
on Christmas
Oh,
when we were talking about the Purdy Lamar thing, where he was throwing up the stats of other two-time MVPs. And if Lamar wins the MVP, we're talking about a guy who's never been to the Super Bowl, who is 2-4 or
2-4.
2-4 in the playoffs, and he's
Yeah.
2 MVPs. And the other guys have 2 MVPs in the league. I forget who it was. Was
Yeah,
it
it's Rodgers and Mahomes,
Yeah.
who both have
Way
a
more
million playoff
successful, yeah.
wins. Yeah, and like Lamar has more
Yeah,
turnovers.
doesn't that get announced the
touchdowns.
Saturday
It's-
night before the Super Bowl? The
or isn't
the
it Thursday
MVP?
night? Or is it Saturday?
Couple-
Maybe.
I think it's Saturday night, Friday or Saturday night, right before. But
I
It's
wonder why they do
frustrating,
that
honestly.
there, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't you wonder why they do that there? It's like they want to have an impact on the game or to players' psyches. It's kind of a weird time, right in the middle of them focusing on something else. It's like you were not given the MVP on the eve of the Super Bowl. Oh, I'm gonna be out there with hell to pay. I don't know.
Can we stir up a little bit of hate though towards the Chiefs? Because like I don't know about you
Hate's a
guys.
good thing.
I'm starting to get like really annoyed by Mahomes and Kelsey. Like I thought that there was a lot of parallels between like Curry and Mahomes.
Commercials,
and
you mean?
sorry, what?
You talk about the commercials and the
Well,
they're
it's a combination of
omnipresent in our culture.
yeah,
kind of thing?
omnipresence. They're in 8 commercials, and then it's also like they're like kicking over Justin Tucker's, like like they're preventing him from kicking, and they're I don't know. Mahomes is making excuses
They're
and
getting
yelling at
sassy.
Josh Allen after game. Like he's just like turned into kind of like a little bit of like kind of an entitled prick, honestly, which is, it sucks. Cause like, I think I used to think he was like a really cool guy. He probably still is a cool guy, but just on the field, like he's just so entitled. And it's that like LeBron James thing you saw in the Lakers game on Saturday. It's just like every time anything is questionable, it's just like hands in the air, like doesn't understand how he doesn't
Right.
get the calls. And, Travis Kelce's talking shit to everybody on the field. And I don't know.
The Taylor Swift thing's pretty annoying too.
It's
but-
extremely annoying. And his
I
wife's
know,
the worst.
seriously. Now his brother's got nothing better to do, take his shirt off and lifting up babies and stuff.
And then you see how cool Mahomes' dad is. Like his dad is the man. Like he's just the absolute man. Seems like the coolest guy ever. And you saw him like on Twitter. He was like in the parking lot, like drinking with like Ravens fans and stuff. It just seems like he does not want to be in the booth. with those
Wasn't
people.
Mahomes complaining about his receivers earlier in the year?
Oh yeah.
Which is valid, but like not a good look.
Is there any chance that the media circus, which is the Super Bowl, does something this week with Juszczyk's wife and Taylor Swift?
1,000,000,000%. There's probably even going to be like a little bit of a profile, like a 20-minute profile. We're going to get like some nothing.
I need more
media
than
talent
that. I
and
wish it was
stuff.
more like a half hour or 45 minutes because we need a deeper dive.
Why don't we predict some of the Super Bowl narratives? I mean, they're gonna pull back
The
the
props?
old
The props?
no, not props, the narratives, because they're just you need to fill time with narratives. So I mean, of course, there's the Joe Montana thing. He's a Chief and the Niner. They're gonna talk about the Juszczyk merchandise. Obviously,
They're going to
Taylor
talk about the
Swift.
first. They're going to talk endlessly about the first matchup.
Yep, that's true.
That's going to there'll be Emmanuel Sanders drive-bys. Right?
Yeah.
There'll be lots of that.
There was a lot of memes, and I think maybe Ryan would know about this, but a lot of memes
I know
rooting
you're
for the
going there.
Ravens to beat the Chiefs this week.
Oh, also there's a lot of memes that are, I don't even know if you can really say what they are on YouTube, just because of where we're at. But like they were, it's like there's a lot of people that are Niners haters. Like a lot of people are complaining, like, "Oh my God, we have the worst Super Bowl ever." And I'm seeing all sorts of memes that are like,
How do you go
like
worse? Come on, the
Stalin
Niners and Chiefs worst Super Bowl ever.
Well, because it's
You
just
gotta be
like they're
kidding
like,
me.
oh, these guys like this is the most boring Super Bowl. Like, these are two teams we all hate. So there's a lot of like,
meme.
I think
Yeah.
this was the NFL's dream matchup of the four teams. The four different matchups it could have been. I mean, the worst would have been Detroit and Baltimore nationally. We've already
uniform
seen,
wise also.
this is the
kind of
one
weak.
game that they didn't match up this year because the Chiefs lost to Detroit opening night. Baltimore killed Detroit, and Baltimore beat the Niners. So there was no Chiefs Niners matchup this year.
This is like a super famous meme account.
Yeah.
And this is what they posted right after the game.
Horse head.
That's like their meme. I just had to pause it because it's so loud. But that's
What was that?
It was like a dog like yawning or something. I don't know.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
Kev, I'm gonna send you one right now. I know, like, we probably can't use it, but I'll just send it to you on Twitter. I'm seeing a lot of different versions of this.
Couple narratives. What about the tight end narrative? Which tight end is the
Oh, yeah, the
best
Kittle.
tight end in the NFL? Is it Travis Kelce? Is it George Kittle? And then the other one
Yeah, we can't
is
use
the quarterback narrative, right? You got Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback, in the last decade or whatever you want to say. He's
There'll be Joe
Patrick Mahomes
Montana
is
talk,
really
right?
freaking
Joe
Oh,
good.
Montana.
there'll be the
Then you got
Shanahan.
Purdy, who's
Reed is
underpaid.
Shanahan. Andy Reid with the Eagles. Can he get it done? Can he get the monkey?
But I want to
off
go
his
in on
back?
this game because I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be a close one. And I think the Niners are coming out on top. So sorry, Damon. I'm looking at it. Isaiah Pacheco, I think he's a pretty good player, but I think he's a tier below some of the backs that the Niners have seen recently. Aaron Jones, I thought, was running it really well. The guys we saw today, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, I think they're I like Pacheco, but I think these guys the Niners have played against and have kind of eaten this defense alive are a tier above him. The weapons, Kelce, I know, he knows how to beat the soft spot in zone. He's a good player. But Rashee Rice, he is a playmaker. But what I'm getting at is maybe tell me if I'm making a mistake, but these Chiefs weapons aren't scaring me that much. It's pressure Mahomes, right? When you look back at when the Bucks beat the Chiefs in that Super Bowl, like
Yes.
what happened? Todd Bowles and that defense made Patrick Mahomes' life hell for that football game. Niners are going to have to replicate that. But hey, fellas, it's been a long day with the day drinking and cheering my butt off. So I'm going to end it right here. Hey, the chat was live. Appreciate everyone who came through. Love talking ball with you guys. Tomorrow night, I got a show on my channel, Straight Out of the Bay, with a few of my buddies, 8 p.m. Come on over, subscribe. Bay Area Baller 18. Let's get me to 2K. I'm hovering. I'm almost there. With your
Sounds
help, I
good.
can get there.
We love you,
So-
Bowler. Have a great night, brother, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you. Have a great night. Appreciate you.
No doubt.
Thanks, baller.
Yeah.
Thanks,
There you
Paul.
go. The great baller. And then there were four. We're not going to go all night, but we have a couple more thoughts we'll share.
We're not?
Also, well,
Oh, man,
we're going
I
to
thought
switch
we
the
were-
party over to Danny's, and then I'm going to be in the car, and I'm going to be.
I can't go all night. I can't.
Kev can't go all night. That's the rumor around town.
It's
Kev's
actually
tired.
past midnight here now. So
Kev's got
I'm
finals
already
coming
working
up.
on other stuff right now.
He's working on other stuff. He's got different things, entanglements. All right. Dylan Bhakta says, was today's run game defense issue due to our underperformance scheme or more so the Lions running backs and scheme? I think it's a combination. The Niners are not the same run D as they used to be. They earned a big rep with DJ Jones and Aziz and Manuel Mosley and Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart. They've replaced 5 or 6 different guys with more pass oriented players. Brought in Hargrave. He's more of a run player, or more of a pass rusher, I should say. Their safeties. I mean, now Brown's a thumper, but I mean, Gibson and Logan Ryan, and I mean, they're not big time hitters like Ward and Tart. Mosley's a major one because he was a big, physical, great run defender corner. They lost Samson Ebukam, great edge player off, as a defensive end, and they lost Azeez Al-Shaair, who was an awesome linebacker who had like 15, 16 tackles. And they lost several guys against the run, and DJ being the first to go after a couple of years ago in free agency. So they're just not the same personnel wise. And they're going to have to, right now they are, Bosa's really good against the run, believe it or not. And Armstead can be really instinctive against the run up front. And then they lean on Greenlaw and Warner on that second level to make a ton of plays. And then Lenore has been, and then since he's been put inside of the nickel, has looked pretty good against the run too. But that's kind of where they're at. They don't have and also Montgomery's great. And Gibbs might be the next great player. I mean, the Niners were thoroughly outclassed. I mean, they dodged a major bullet today because, I mean, Montgomery and Gibbs, those guys, Montgomery, I mean, the fact that they only got 15 carries, I mean, I can't get over that. That to me is malpractice. I mean, this guy had 33 carries in a game earlier this year. When you're carrying for 6-8 a carry like he was, you've got to touch the ball 18 to 22 times in a 4-quarter game against a team that has struggled against the run. The other thing I would say is that the Lions defense, the one fraudulent thing that if you really look deep into the numbers before the game, a lot of those numbers that showed that the Lions had a really good run D were season-long numbers. But if you had just looked in the playoffs, they had been giving up 4.96 yards per carry. So the 49ers ran effectively in this game against the Lions. That had a lot to do with it. That had a lot to do with the 49ers having success.
I thought the play calling was egregious. And we sit here and talk almost every single week about how we wanted Kyle Shanahan to give Christian McCaffrey more touches. Yeah. Can you imagine what the Lions fans are thinking right now? It wasn't like they were losing and they had to pass. They were winning and they chose to pass and not give the ball to David Montgomery, who was going 6 to 7 yards per carry with a dominating offensive run line. It's malpractice.
I was hoping every time like they snapped the ball, I was just like hoping that they would drop back because it was just positive yardage every time. Also, how scary was it? I know this is like it kind of reminds me of like Steve Kerr, the way sometimes he doesn't do his rotations based off feel. Like he just decides like, okay, Steph Curry, you come in at the 6-minute mark. The way the Lions do it, where they usually open the game with David Montgomery gets an entire series and then he goes to the bench to get fresh. And then Jahmyr Gibbs has an entire series. Like that was frightening at the beginning of the game. That was frightening. Like those boys just look so good. Gibbs also, I mean, he didn't have like the best day. He had that fumble, but he also had that sweet route where he was just wide open in the end zone and Goff just missed him. His day could have been much bigger.
One of my concerns with this Niners, when I look at the 19 Super Bowl, I felt much better about that defense. They really shut down the Chiefs and Mahomes
with D Ford, you mean, and Buckner.
Well, yeah, and then you had Sherman and you had Tart and you had Jimmy Ward back there. You had hitters, you had veterans. What I'm concerned about is the defensive line. And my question, Larry, is it seems like all 4 defensive linemen are bull rushers, no quickness. What about Robert Beal or maybe signing Jordan Willis? Is he a free agent? Because nobody's getting home except Bosa. And, he's not even getting there like he was a year ago. Last year, you saw him constantly getting sacks. And I just don't know if you can – if you can't get pressure on Mahomes, that's what's scary. They've got to rush either 5 or get somebody quicker on the edge that can beat the tackle off the blocks. Because
Armstead was the only guy. They had 5 quarterback hits tonight, 4 for Bosa, 1 for Armstead. Nobody else got to the quarterback. Nobody else touched the quarterback. It was frustrating watching this game because Jared Goff had a relatively clean uniform.
And he's a statue.
He's
Yeah.
one of the most sackable quarterbacks. Like he's up there with like
Exactly.
old age Matt Ryan. Like the
I
guy
bet
who loves
that
to
they
go
would.
down.
I bet somebody the Niners would get at least 3 sacks today, and I lost. I mean, I was like, I can't even believe they couldn't get 3 sacks on Goff. I mean,
Yeah.
if they with a backup guard, and the Niners hardly ran any stunts up the middle. I don't know what they were doing. I mean, the vanilla defense just like I don't think you can, throw a ton of, you got to guard your lanes against Mahomes, but you didn't have to do that with Goff. You could have just forced him out. Every time he was forced out of the pocket, he didn't get a completed pass.
Wow, Dan,
Seriously,
this is funny.
I didn't understand why they didn't just blitz him more with linebackers.
It's
and-
crazy.
Listen to this. Bill Barnwell tweeted, Jared Goff in this game, unpressured, 25 of 33, 273, a touchdown, and 81.4 QBR. Jared Goff under pressure, 0 for 8 for 0 yards and a 1 QBR.
Wow.
That's great.
That's a good one.
I just was shocked.
Who had that, Rye?
Bill Barnwell.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
wasn't that
used to
shocking
have
that,
heard
I mean,
about
we're sitting there watching the
Wasn't.
game. We could all see it.
Wish
The
I
coaching
was.
staff of the Niners can't see that and know that going into the game. I mean, all the previews were put pressure on Goff. Put pressure
No,
on
I mean,
Goff.
seriously, I've made it on my number one key on the 95.7 The Game pregame with Low Neal. I'm like, you have to pressure Goff in the A gap, in his face, make him move laterally. And to me, that was the way to do it, because if you saw, I mean, when he was on the move, he bad things are about to happen,
Yeah.
for him. He doesn't
Right.
do well on the move. So it's like, in some ways, I kind of feel like if Jared Goff can't win when he has these kinds of weapons, then you kind of got to wonder, even though he was, he's been good this year, but you got to kind of wonder, can you win? People will talk about, oh, well, can Brock Purdy win with this arm strength and that and this and that? It's not really. It's more about that second level escapability. It's about mobility. And like, is Mahomes a runner? No, but he can run in key situations when the game's on the line, and he's got great movement skills within the pocket. Is Brock Purdy a runner? No, but he had 51 effective scrambling yards today, and he can move with quickness and decisiveness around in the pocket and extend plays. I mean, that's really what it's about. Do you think a guy like Jared Goff, who just stands there in the pocket, do you think you can win that way anymore? Or our defense is too athletic and you just have to have that other element of movement ability? Because that's kind of the question. And it's not just Goff. There's a handful of other quarterbacks that will be in that category of, well, do they move well enough to win a ring, or are they just kind of ordinary?
Oh, Niners don't win this game if Jimmy Garoppolo's the quarterback today.
I think you're right.
agree.
Facts.
Look at that. Danny actually hit on one.
Yeah.
Rocky Von Wagner. The Raiders ran the ball on the Chiefs and smoked them. Come on, guys. McCaffrey is going to have a field day.
If the Niners can control the ball, the possession,
Yes,
time of possession, and keep Mahomes more off the field and score on their drives, they can beat the Chiefs. There's no doubt.
Nakatani's back in the house. He says, put this into a S&P ETF and lithium mining.
Yeah. He's talking about like all the different currencies and stuff. I will say this about Andy Reid. One of his fatal flaws is he gets bored with the run. Like he just cannot help himself. He never just like, even if like Pacheco's going really well, even when they had like Kareem Hunt, like he gets bored of the run. So even if they're having success against the Niners running early, I don't think he's going to be able to stick to that. He's not going to be able to help himself.
I've seen him on TV recently, and I think he has a weakness for fast food.
That's
Well,
been known.
Larry, is Jordan Willis available? Is he a free agent?
Danny's
he's on
always
the
looking to make a
Saints.
trade.
He was on
Danny,
the
it's-
Saints practice
it's
squad.
January 28th.
I know, but they bring in guys they brought in Day. What I mean, why would
Yeah,
you?
no,
why would
seriously.
you
I mean, I Jordan Willis, I'd bring him in. I agree with you, actually,
I
personally.
mean, they need a pass rusher.
Yeah.
I mean, Chase Young is. I'm sorry, Chase
Yeah, I
Young
don't-
is
oh,
not
okay.
doing it.
Nah, he's looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
he's
Did
just
you
very
guys
stiff. He doesn't get home.
Did you guys talk about like I don't know how I follow the Niners so closely, and I didn't even realize this till just now, but that Shanahan actually came out and said that if the Niners somehow won that championship game last year, he would have signed Phillip Rivers for the Super Bowl.
I did see
Right,
that.
right.
That is crazy, man.
He needed to sign him earlier.
What about the Brady thing that came out where they said that he was going to bring back Brady, and he sat down Purdy and told him, "Hey, look, you're our guy unless we get Purdy or unless we get Brady."
Yeah,
That's crazy.
They hedged on Brady a couple times.
Yeah, I don't know.
They obviously regret it.
I just want to see the Niners early in the year when they were getting pressure on the quarterback. We were talking,
Dan, I think you go scout the Pro Bowl or something like that. See if we can get some waiver wire pickups.
I mean, they were talking. Remember when the beginning of the season,
Coach Emilio
saying,
here
who can beat this
for
team?
late season trades.
They were talking about who can beat the Niners. They're gonna. I mean, some people were saying they could go undefeated. I mean, I remember even thinking that they were invincible.
Yeah, true.
And it was because their defensive line was crushing it. Now all of a sudden, what has it been? A month and a half? We've seen a few sacks.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how it seems like there's like been
Sure.
clumps of games where the Niners defense has been just awesome. And it's like, oh, they figured it out. And then it kind of turns off.
They have some great moments, but I mean, they could not get off the field in this game.
And they're tired too.
It felt like they were outgunned. It felt like they were going down the tubes, man. I mean,
like it felt kind of like how I would think it feels to like go against like this team when it's really humming. Like it just felt like there was nothing you could do, and it was just they were gashing you. And it kind of felt like that in the Green Bay too.
Knowing that the other team could just move the ball at will down the field and do everything they want to do at will.
And it just makes you so anxious on offense too. It's like, God damn, if we do not score here, like what?
Yeah, you think every turnovers you got 7 going the other way. Flav says, I don't understand how no one besides Bosa can get a sack. Armstead, Young, Hargrave have to get some sacks. I know, it's totally true.
No, I mean, that's
Hargrave.
such a fair point. Like the 49ers defensive line has not lived up to the billing. They just haven't. They have every single person on their defensive line is like a name. They have a name, it's like a well-established name, and they're just not doing.
I think Hargrave's been a big bust to me.
Yeah,
he was brought in to put pressure up the middle. He was their sack guy up the middle. He doesn't do well at all on the run, and he's getting no pressure. And the Niners used to have a bunch of gang sacks, They don't even have anybody close.
Say that a few times. Say that 10 times fast.
No, I mean, you remember they used to just collapse the pocket, and it was 2-3 guys tackling guys, and they're nowhere near. I mean, Jared Goff. I love Goff. He's a Cal guy. He's a local Bay Area kid. I love Goff.
If you say that one more time, I'm going to mute you.
He can't move.
No, I know he's a statue. That's that you kind of wonder, as good as he throws the ball. I mean, guy's got a good arm. He's smart. He's pretty athletic, but as good as he throws the ball, you wonder in today's game, can you win a Super Bowl being like Jared Goff right now, where you really anybody who pressures you in the A gap, it's like game over. And you know what I mean? It seems like you have to be able to get to that second platform and deliver a ball in today's NFL, or you got no shot. Sometimes the defense can force you off that spot. And then what happens? What does the whole thing break down? Words of Wisdom says, confession time. I called KMBR after a super chat. They dropped the call. Technical difficulties. I wish you had a call-in show tonight. Kev, should we put the thing in the stream for the last 15 minutes?
If you want to, I can't stay for that much longer because I got to get stuff done. But if you want to take
wait, what do you got? What do you got going over there?
I mean, I'm always working. You know that.
Yeah, you're always okay. Well, let's do this. We'll rifle through this because we're already 2 hours and 17 minutes in, and I got to drive all the way back to the creek. Flav says, I think sharp bettors will probably be on the Niners, and the public will be saying, I didn't bet on Mahomes as the underdog the last 2 weeks. I'm not making that same mistake again. Love the Niners in this role.
I think that's facts. Like, I think if you want
the most true thing,
bet the Niners now, if you want them, the Niners, because I do think this is going to be the cheapest that they are. I think it's only going to go back up.
That is interesting. That you're right, though. The psyche of the public.
You think the Niners are going to be favored more, right?
Yeah.
Really?
2.5. I honestly, I would not be surprised. I'll make a call right now. I bet the game touches 3 again. I bet you can find a 3 out there.
Interesting.
You're
Right
betting
now-
on a bet.
I'm betting on
Alba
a bet.
Kamiga says Dan pointed to something earlier that I agree with. The Super Bowl will be called differently by the refs. And in the last two Super Bowls, I don't think the Niners took that into account, especially in the second half. That's a good one. That's a good one. And then we've got this one from Johnny A. He says, I didn't want to jinx anything, but this run feels like the 2012 San Francisco Giants.
Did you see that?
I
Oh, well,
loved it.
I
I
keep
love that
saying,
team.
did you see that tweet? But there was a great tweet that I know Danny especially is going to love. Here is, here it is. San Francisco and Kansas City playing for a championship. One of the teams hasn't won a title in exactly 29 years. The other team is a 1 win away from its third title in 5 years, cementing itself as a dynasty. But enough about the 2014 World Series. There we go. Little
Titus
baseball
Moeller
for ya.
says, did you all see Alex Smith's GM Club Purdy comment? Yeah, he's like basically GM meaning game management. So Alex Smith in the pregame today on television said Brock Purdy is not a game manager, but he said, as somebody who is the president of the game manager, quarterback club, Brock Purdy's never been here or something like that.
I'd love to see those old NFL films. What was that announcer, the guy with the deep voice that did those NFL
John
films?
Facenda.
Yeah. With Purdy
Facenda.
on the run, dun, 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 with that music. Purdy's runs were so awesome today because he was putting moves on guys. He wasn't just running straight. He was,
dude. I love. To me, that was my favorite part of this entire game was Purdy's runs because it just kind of shows that you know what, this guy's he can move, but he's not a runner. He's a passer, right?
He
But in a
moves
game like
faster than JD's moving right now.
In a game like this, though, I mean, you got the difference in winning and losing oftentimes is how competitive is your quarterback. The most underrated trait of Joe Montana was his competitive fire. The most underrated aspect of Tom Brady was his competitive fire. And the most underrated aspect of Brock Purdy is his competitive fire. There is no measurement for it. Look at some of the plays that he made in this game. How about that one where he contorted his body and threw it at the last second? I mean, Brock Purdy did what he needed to do. He ran for 50 yards. Is he a perfect quarterback? No, but the guy's competitive for sure. We welcome in JD. JD, you're walking through I'm down here in one of the radio booths. So if you're still here, just
you may have snuck into where I usually
I'm down here.
sneak
I'm like in the goal. I'm on the goal line basically.
I'm
if
making my way down that way. But yeah, good to be on with you guys. What a night. Here we are again with a incredible comeback and one that I think everybody kind of wrote off as a loss at some point. But
did you tweet at halftime?
Did I what now?
Tweet at halftime.
I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't.
So I mean, did you put anything into the Twitterverse that was like they're screwed, they're done?
I did
There's
not.
no chance the Lions are outclassing them. It's over. Nothing like that. You're too much of a veteran.
I did not declare the game over at any point.
Good play. Good play.
That's why you're JD. That's why you've got credibility. That's why you're on the Krug show.
That's why his boots on the ground.
That's why your boots on the ground. Exactly.
The one thing that surprised the hell out of me in the first half, I mean, yes, them getting just completely physically dominated and the way the Lions were able to get anything they wanted offensively, that was a surprise. But the bigger surprise to me was that the 49ers scored 7 points. Like I thought all week.
Only 7 or that they do. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like to me, like if you had told me the game, it was 24-17 at halftime, I would have said, okay, like I get it. It's a shootout. The Lions are kind of doing their thing, but the Niners are right there and have opportunities to score. So the reason I didn't think it was over was because I did think and really believed all week and have believed for months that if these two teams played, that the 49ers should be able to put up a big number against the Lions.
Yeah.
And, you look at the second half and the 49ers went field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, right up until the end there where they were able to run out the clock. So that was the one thing that I think prevented me from basically declaring the game over. But my God, I mean, they have not gotten throttled the way that they got throttled in we thought the Green Bay game was bad. I mean, Detroit did everything Green Bay did, only better. and just, more in a more dominant fashion. So yeah, it was bleak, but they stuck with it. They Dan Campbell opened the door. He did some Dan
Campbell gagged, man. He really did.
Your greatest strength is your greatest weakness, and if you're going to live by the meathead, you die by the meathead. And
Right.
Seriously.
That's really who they are. It's why they are where they are in part was because he just was going to go for it all the time and go with his gut and believe in his team and all of that. And
except on the 2 when he kicked a field goal.
Exactly. So no doubt. And so if you're going to me, it's like if you're going to kick the first one, then you should have kicked the second one. And then because it was the same situation, right? It would have been to go right back up 3 scores and continue to put the 40, pressure on the 49ers. So he bungled it. He likes to be kind of the I don't want to say fake tough, because I do think his teams are physical as hell. Like I think they've taken after the personality.
And I wouldn't necessarily go up to him and be like, you're a wuss. I mean, I would say he's pretty tough.
And I think they play hard ass nose football.
Maybe Danny would, but I wouldn't do that.
They do, man. Like I actually got a lot more respect for Dan Campbell than I did when he was hired, and even did at the beginning of this year. Because I at times called them frauds. I don't think they were frauds. I think they proved during this playoff run that they weren't frauds. But again, I think the one thing that they're going to have to figure out, and again, not to make this about the Lions, like who are going home tonight, but they're going to have to figure out, as they become a good football team, is he the right guy to make the right decisions in the right moments? Like it's all fun and games and it's cute and it's cool when you're the underdog and you're the Lions who haven't done shit in 30 years and really haven't done anything in close to 80 years, and like it's fun and cute to just come in and let it all hang. But once the expectations come, which will be next year, are you going to make the right decisions in the right moment? So I think he gets a free pass, and rightfully so, for tonight. And their season overall is, went to the NFC Championship game when I think, barely eking into the playoffs would have been good enough. So his season's still a win, but how do they respond to a collapse? And how do they respond to, a group of players that I think believe in him and believe in the culture and the identity and all of that? But they also had a Super Bowl appearance taken away because he did some wacky shit. And so, are they going to look at him differently when some of the wacky stuff doesn't work moving forward? I think that's just kind of something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. He goes, Flav says, I don't know that KC knows Miami's offense well, which has some similarities to ours. Whose offense is similar to the Chiefs? That's a good question. Chiefs use a lot of one back. That's for sure. Have they changed things up since they only had Rashee Rice performing? That would be my guess. That they probably have. Titus Moeller says, where would y'all rank this team in Kyle's San Francisco era? I mean, I like this team because of Purdy, and when you have got to have the quarterback. To me, you don't win championships until you have the quarterback. So I'm going to put this one as the best team because this is the only one that had the quarterback. And they've got this bevy of weapons, even though the defense has flaws, still leaves you hope from time to time. I mean, the defense did bow up. I mean, they did go 27 unanswered at one point in the second half. So they did start to figure things out a little bit. I'm going with this team because of Brock.
Yeah.
Where are you guys?
Is this
Shanny's
year,
best
honestly,
team here?
Last year might have been the best team, honestly. It's just, we'll never know. It's just mostly because of D'Amico.
I mean, in terms of talent, I don't know how well you can say this defense is playing right now, but in terms of just names and guys and just individuals, this is one of the most stacked teams. This is definitely the most stacked team he's ever had.
Beatbox Basics says best Niners show on YouTube. Hello from Australia. Wow. Australia down under.
Hey, Larry, sorry to cut you up. I know
back. He's got a Foster's maybe.
I know I said about an hour ago that I had a job.
Oh, that's true.
I actually got
all right. No sweat, Rye.
But
we'll
thanks
talk
so
to you,
much.
brother.
Subscribe to West Coast Bias if you feel like it. What's
Are
up,
you going
JD?
to Vegas, Rye?
Can't afford it. But I will be watching for my I'll probably be watching some bar here in LA.
We'll check with you after the bowl.
All right. Sounds good.
Good to see you, Rye.
Thanks, Rye.
There you go. Kev's got to get jet here in a minute. But we're all going to jet because it's already 11:30 and I've got to get home and
Hey, we don't leave before midnight, Larry. Larry, we don't leave if that game kicks off any later than 1:25. We don't leave before midnight.
that's kind of true. But Kev's going to have to get out of here because he's probably got a hot date or something. What is it that you got to do? You always have, I notice that you always have like somewhere you have to go. Where exactly do you go? What do you
homework
do?
in class?
What exactly would you say you do down there at Cal?
Putting out
Poly?
like 35 reels on our Instagram.
All right.
It's a lot.
Only hey, I want 40. I told you 40.
Drop and give me 40.
Trent Baalke would say,
Dude,
I know you guys like Aiden Hutchinson, but I'm a big Trayvon Walker man myself.
Yeah, good.
I'll say this though,
Good
to
move,
JD's point, the
Yeah.
most deflating thing about that first half is he's right. It was that the strengths were the strengths for the Lions, but their weaknesses wasn't a weakness. Like the passing game for the Niners, it wasn't really going anywhere. They weren't scoring, right?
That's what shocked me.
Yeah.
It really did. And that's why I didn't think the game was over, because they had the ball coming out of the second half. And I felt like if they just scored and held them and then scored again, it was all of a sudden the momentum would switch and they would be down one score. And it kind of happened. And then that fumble of Gibbs was so huge. I mean, they got the ball back on what?
Oh,
the
that
20?
was the biggest play of the game. Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Hey,
mean,
what do you think, Mahomes? If we could get inside Mahomes' head, he's watching that game, Niners Lions. Who's he rooting for? They did lose to the Lions
It's the
at
first game of the year.
Arrowhead in week 1.
week 1, yeah.
And they
I
lost
think,
the game.
Larry, I wanted Detroit to win because I really wanted to get back. I'm a super competitor.
You know, Patrick Mahomes. No, I
Mahomes does
just
have a
think
unique voice. I don't know if you have it down though.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
wasn't sure
shocked
who you were
that,
talking about there.
I thought that was Kermit the Frog, actually.
I was one play away, that 4th and 2, if the Lions didn't score at the end of the game. I had a 34-24 Niners. I'm shocked that the Niners, it took that they didn't, like JD said, have 17 at half. I mean, the Lions, everybody's thrown on the Lions all year. And it was like they were just, I don't know. It was just like 2 weeks in a row.
It was hard. Like it was hard for them to score, Dan. Like
Yeah.
like they were as easily as the Lions were getting it. The Niners were they were getting
know.
it, but they were struggling to get it. It's like
Oh yeah.
it's like in an NBA game, right? When you're working hard to score and
Yeah.
you're scoring, but the other team's just getting it at will. Like they're in a flow, they're in a rhythm, all their wide open shots are going down, and you're scoring, but you're like you're missing and you're getting a rebound and you're kicking it out and you're driving again and you're getting fouled and you're like it felt like the Niners were getting where they needed to be, but it just felt like nothing was clean about anything that they were doing. It was just go out there and scrap and
Right.
try and make enough plays to bring it home.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, it's
when
totally
was
true.
when was the Niners' last complete game? Was it Philadelphia or was it?
It
Because
was
they have
before
not.
Baltimore. Maybe
Oh,
was it second Arizona game?
No,
mean-
they got gashed in the run in that game, and that was really the game that put the bad run
They
defense. back
routed
on the
them
map.
at the end.
Was
Yeah,
it the
they-
first? I mean, they had the Seahawks sandwich. I mean,
Maybe
the
Thanksgiving?
Eagles sandwiched between the Seahawks, but then they after they played the Seahawks, they didn't play a really good game. They gave up 29 to the Cardinals. Then they got gashed by the Ravens, and then they kind of beat I mean, they looked okay against the Commanders. Did okay.
Handled business. I thought
yeah.
they handled business.
But they didn't play like an A game, like they're capable of.
No, but
and
it
then shut it
makes you
down
wonder.
for 2 weeks.
Right,
For
and
3
then-
weeks, basically.
Yeah, 3,
Now
and
they're gonna
now
have
we
another bye
haven't
week.
really seen the Niners play a full, complete game, and maybe they got that in them, and I think that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, I mean that would be incredible if they fired a big effort on Super Bowl Sunday. Maybe they will. Our 808 Niners is are they coached to just crash down and not set the edge, or the end's just doing what they want? Bosa gave up so many big plays just rushing upfield. It's easy when you get the bird's eye view in the stands to kind of see that it's a fake. It's harder on the ground level. Flav says, how does KC's O-line stack up to Green Bay's and Detroit's. Well, KC's interior line's outstanding. But did Thuney play today against the Ravens?
I don't believe so.
No, he did not. He
Yeah.
did not.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's hurt. And then Creed Humphrey's as good a center as there is, and Smith, the kid from Tennessee, is really powerful, but they're pretty ordinary at tackle, to be honest. I mean, I think the Niner DNs might be able to beat their tackles
Well,
pretty good.
question for you guys: what can the Niners do to shore up their run defense?
Well, you saw a little more. I don't
Jair
know how
Brown.
many plays exactly. Yeah, Jair Brown helped. You saw more Kinlaw. I mean, they played Armstead at end a little bit, and they put Kinlaw in there, I think, to try to clog it up a little bit. I don't know how many plays they did that though, but it was sporadic.
I got what I wanted. I wanted to see more Kinlaw than Sebastian Joseph Day. I wanted to see Jair Brown over Logan Ryan, and I wanted to see Feliciano over Burford.
Well,
So I feel like I was 3 for 3 there.
I would still sign Willis and drop Day.
Danny's
I
a
mean,
fan of going after
they need somebody that
Jordan
can
Willis.
Oh,
But I mean, free agents.
Jordan, I thought you were
Willis.
saying Patrick
Yeah,
Willis.
no, Jordan Willis. He's a free agent. He knows the scheme.
I thought you meant
He's
Willis
quick.
from Different Strokes.
Get-
Wasn't really-
Get somebody who can actually get past the tackle. Stop this bull rushing. Chase Young doesn't run around anybody. He tries to, and he doesn't get anywhere near the quarterback. He cuts down. He doesn't hold the edge very well. He cuts down on plays, and Gibbs. I'm shocked that the Lions just didn't keep going outside around Young.
Well, I mean, I would have, if I
They
was
got a little
Dan
pass
Campbell, I
happy.
would have run Gibbs and Montgomery way more and taken the ball way out of Goff's hands.
Yeah.
Dude, you got that. Look how good your line is as a run blocking line. Look how incredible Goff
They
is as a
turned it
play
over
action
on downs.
passer.
They turned it over on downs twice, passing it. They also
Yeah.
had it 4th down where they passed it to Reynolds. He dropped it. It's like they just didn't.
Dude,
yeah, they
read
got
the
way too
room. I
pass
mean,
happy.
he totally blew it. They had the 2 best running backs in the game, and the Niners never really proved they could stop it. And they ran for a ton of yards, and they
with the lead.
yeah, with the lead, and they couldn't close the door.
What do you
I think
think
they
about-
got shell shocked on the fumble. Like I think that's what kind of threw
Yeah.
him. That when the Niners
Momentum is a
scored,
tough thing too.
and the fumble on the first play, and now the Niners are in business, and then the game was tied in a blink, and 24/7 was completely wasted. And I think at that point, it threw them into a tailspin that they really did not get out of until their final drive when they were down 10. And the Niners had the freedom to give up the touchdown, and as long as they were going
Right.
to take enough time. And the Niners did a nice job of making them take a lot of
Yes.
time
Right.
to where, and they burned the timeout. I thought that was another low key.
Oh, that was the stupidest.
the
play
Lions
of the
burned a
third
timeout.
down.
You need 3 times.
Yeah.
Having 2 timeouts, you might as well have 0 timeouts.
Right.
in that.
Exactly. That was dumb. They ran the ball. They should have just thrown it, and if they didn't make it, kick the field goal even.
Because they
And
might have got
say-
the ball back with 1:40 and a 3-point game, and
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody at
do
Levi's
you
would have
believe in the
been holding their
experience
breath.
fact? Was that the experience factor? People asked all week about the different factors in the game. The home field. I thought the home field was big for the 49ers. But the other one was the experience factor. And it's like, I don't know if it was, we talked about the player experience factor, but maybe, the factor that really mattered was that Shanahan, kind of played a better game overall than
I mean, that was just a gaffe. I mean, I don't.
than
I don't
Campbell. I mean,
understand
Campbell just kind of blew. I thought Campbell misread things so bad. That last drive in the first half, that he made the wrong call there. You go up 28-7, and it's dagger time.
He
It's
just
like what the
doesn't have a
Packers
good
did
feel.
to
His
the
whole
Cowboys.
His whole thing, Larry, is just to do. It's built on this. We're gonna be aggressive. Like it's just like there's no.
But then they
thought
went,
to
and then they
it.
kicked the field goal on 4th and 2 when they had Montgomery.
I hear you because I think at his core, and I think he's even said this, he wants to be more conservative, but yet his personality type is that to be aggressive, and the tone that he set and having to change the culture. Like I just don't think he's a good in-game. He's a culture guy, right? You're either an X's and O's offensive guy, you're either an X's and O's defensive guy, or you're a culture guy. And he's a he's not somebody that I want at the helm, making big decisions in big moments of playoff games. And I think that's the thing the Lions are going to find as they start to play more important games.
That's what I was. Yeah.
Is that he can't, he's going to fuck it up. And 2 years from now, the Lions might be a team that's been to the playoffs now 3 years in a row and lost 3 years in a row, even in some weird, fucked up ways. Excuse my language. And then it's like, well, shit.
You're swearing in front of my kid
and
and
that's exactly
and Danny. Danny's very respectful.
Problem.
No,
Like,
that's exactly what they're in their honeymoon phase right now with Dan Campbell. They're in the
it's all
phase where it's
gravy.
everything he does is great. He's
Will
funny.
he get ripped tomorrow? He may not get ripped.
Well,
You know
because
why,
of what Kev
you know
just
why I
said.
say he doesn't get ripped? Because again, it's the way he answers questions. And Larry, you know this because you've been doing it a long time. I didn't read the transcript that I was not in his press conference, but I guarantee, it was I hurt for these guys. Or I'll own it, or
he's a great
he
guy.
says exactly what the media wants, like in that rugged, like, I'm accountable, it's on me. I heard from
Right.
the guys who played their balls off all night. And
It's a great
No,
deflection.
exactly. That's why I was saying
He
earlier. in the show,
deflects.
if next year the same thing happens where they get to the playoff with a good team and they just fumble it somehow, it's going to start turning towards what is this guy doing? It's not going to be this. Oh, he's such a great guy and all of our
Coach of the
teammates love him.
year.
Right. It's not gonna be this happy-go-lucky stuff.
And look, I'll admit I was wrong about the guy. I thought it was going to be a complete and utter disaster. It looked that way the first year and a half, although they didn't have a lot of talent. He rallied them last year. They damn near made the playoffs. They were 12-5 this year, won 2 playoff games. I was wrong. Like he is not a complete and utter disaster as a head coach, but let's also not act like he's Vince effing Lombardi either. Like, cause he's not. And we'll see how it works when Ben Johnson leaves and takes another job. And then, who's the play caller?
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Because they don't run offense like Dan Campbell's their head coach. They run offense like Ben Johnson's a freaking genius.
Yeah, this might be a Sirianni situation.
Who do we hold accountable for their game plan tonight? I mean, they would run the ball for 16 yards, and then here comes a flea flicker. Why are you running a flea
Ben
flicker?
Johnson.
Is it all Johnson?
They got too cute a couple of times. They got too cute. There, a couple of those trick plays, I thought they got.
What was? You guys were in the presser afterwards. What was the key thing that came out of the presser? Anything that stood out to you guys
from
the Niners?
From the Niners,
Shanahan?
Yeah.
Well, you could tell he was really, really impressed by Brock Purdy's running ability. He felt like.
Said it was the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, that was the one. He said, when he's, that really that was the strongest line right there. I mean, he might as well just said that Brock Purdy won this game with his legs, but because he kind of did. I mean, his scrambles were on point. They were well timed, and they were
all for first downs, I think, too.
Yeah. I'm going to put up tomorrow. We'll have a video that I did today in the locker room with Chris Kosarek. And I talked to him about that play and what that does to a defense, what that does to a defensive line when a quarterback like Purdy runs for a big play. And, Chris is just such a great guy. I talked to him in the locker room for about 6-7 minutes, and we'll put that on the YouTube channel tomorrow.
Well, it's his you talk about that 10 split time, that 10-yard split time that Purdy's got one of the best in the NFL, including you see it. He escaped. He should have been sacked at least on one of those runs that I recall. But getting back to this defensive line, Larry, Armstead, when he came up, he was more of a defensive end, and then they moved him to the inside. If Chase Young is not getting it done in the Super Bowl, could you see where the Niners bring in Kinlaw more in the interior and shift Armstead out to an edge?
You got to do what you got to do. It's one game to win. Based on what I've seen, I think the game's got to you got to get your best players out there. And I like Kinlaw more than I like Sebastian Joseph Day. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but to me, I'd rather go with Kinlaw than go with Sebastian Joseph Day even though Kinlaw has, large stretches where he doesn't make a lot of plays, you're still talking about a guy who clogs the middle and has some strength. I don't know. That's how I see it. How do you guys see
the whole
that?
run defense thing it's honestly a mystery, and you can point to three different things. I don't think you can point to Fred Warner or Dre Greenlaw, but I think you could either point to the interior defensive line, the safeties, or Wilkes's scheme, right? Like those are the differences, right? And
It's
I
a
think
combination. Yeah.
it might be just a combination of those. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought I'd say missing Cleveland Farrell. I mean, because he was much better than what we're seeing out of Chase Young. I mean, the one thing
Gregory's not doing a lot either. Right.
The one thing I could say about Chase Young is hopefully he's thinking about the bag he can secure by having a monster Super Bowl, because if he gets shut down again, I mean, that could affect his off-season negotiations as a free agent, because he hasn't showed up for has he had a sack in the last 6 games?
He's got 5.5 with the Niners, but it's like he's in a drought. He's absolutely in a drought.
I don't know. Maybe he's just I mean, you think he's rested now with the fact that they didn't have to play for a while. He didn't have a bye because he missed Washington's bye. And so, but he got the rest against week 18, and then he got another week off, and he should be caught up hopefully by now.
Let's just roll through these. Titus Moeller says, Larry, any chance you do a call-in show soon? Kev, when's our next call-in show?
Wednesday, 7 p.m.
Wednesday. Maybe we'll do one sooner. Alex says, my lights went out in Hollister a little bit after the start of the third quarter when Debo caught a ball and looked at Kyle. Let's effing go. By the time I got to the bar, Ayuk scores and it all changes. A wild day.
Wow.
That would suck. Niner bang. Andy Reid pointed to Taylor Swift from the championship podium. It was creepy. I lost all respect for him. Let's beat them, Brock. Tired of this crap.
Jesus.
God, that's getting bad. That is bad. Brock Young was unlocked tonight. I like that. Steven Basiccio. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Steve. Titus Moeller back with this one. He says, Larry, thanks for doing these long post-game shows. Appreciate it. We love it. We love doing them. Though it is late and it's been a long day. Okay. So let's do this last question we'll ask, and then we'll call it quits. Who is your Marin Autoglass player of the game? We start with Kev.
I always get the first
Brought
pick.
to you by Marin Autoglass, by the way. Give them a call, 415-883-3030. MarinAutoglass.com on the web for all of your windshield needs.
I think last week I went Dre Greenlaw. This week, I'm going to go Purdy. I have the first pick, so I get the easy one. I'm going to go Purdy. I mean, he put the team on his back. He had a great running game. I think his numbers were comparable to like that of Lamar Jackson's today. Like he just had a great game for a quarterback that doesn't usually run that much. He scrambled 5 times, 5 first downs, 2 21-yard plus runs. One of them to set him up inside the 5, I think, or I forget exactly where the ball landed, but just, put the team on his back. Erased the game manager moniker that he's been receiving for being a guy who's a pocket passer. But today he was able to escape the pocket and put the team on his back and win the game. So I'll go Purdy.
Danny?
Well, that would have been my pick, but since we'll do different ones, I'll go with CMC. I think McCaffrey, 90 yards, a tough 90 yards. No, I mean, the one big run that put him up by 10 that got him down to the 2-yard line where he kind of landed on his head and looked like maybe got a little whiplash or something. Did they say anything about him in the presser, how he was with injuries? I know that's the first thing they talk about.
No.
Okay.
This is McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I think, and I can't remember who said it, but I think it was a stinger. I think McCaffrey told Shanahan.
Greenlaw had a stinger.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm sorry to cut you off, Dan, but that Greenlaw stinger was scary.
Yeah.
He looked not okay.
And then he's back immediately.
Of course.
There was he was sore to the point where that's why they put Mitchell in the game. It was and it was McCaffrey, I believe, who had said that he didn't feel totally comfortable with his ability to protect the ball in that moment. And so he went to coach and said, "Hey, I'm not 100, like go to Elijah." And they went to Elijah Mitchell and
wow.
And so I don't think it was a concern, like he, at least at this point, like he's got to miss time or wouldn't be ready for the Super Bowl.
Right,
But it was
right.
something that in that moment he thought, "Hey, I'm a liability hanging onto the rock."
Good for him. Good for him.
Where you can't have a fumble,
and he's getting the ball.
Yeah. No hero
Exactly.
ball. That's great. Not like watching the Baltimore game where Zay Flowers imploded and gets a personal foul of taunting after he gets down to the 10-yard line, then later fumbles, and then later cuts his hand off on his throwing his helmet.
He raged so hard that he hurt his own hand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, great to see McCaffrey do that. But yeah, CMC 90 yards, the big 25-yard run there, and then 2 scores. I'll take him.
Holland Tracy says, as bad as we looked and as lucky as we got I'm starting to feel like we can beat anyone on sheer determination alone. This team does not quit. There's no question they dug deep tonight. Man, they dug deep tonight for this one. JD, who gets your Marin Autoglass player of the game?
I'm going with Brandon Ayuk for the catch that, off the helmet. When that ball's in the air, I'm thinking it's an interception the whole way. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a still photo that was kind of making the rounds. And it was the ball was, it looked like it was an interception, and Brandon Ayuk is a foot away and the defender has the ball. It's like right at his helmet. And there's no way in hell, if you looked at this picture, you would think that turned into a touchdown or a catch for the 49ers. So I'm going Ayuk because that put life in Levi's. That injected life. That was sort of the 49ers have action moment. And then I also give him credit for the 3rd and 6 he got the touchdown on that. He ended up, and if they get stopped right there, then the big play to Ayuk doesn't even matter. So I think Ayuk and his impact, even though he didn't have I think he had 3 catches in the game, but 2 of them were the big play, off the helmet, and then the other one was the touchdown shortly thereafter, which gave the 49ers legitimate life. Then they get the fumble, then they tie the game, and then it was like they ain't losing this thing. Like once it was 24-24, and then the Niners get a stop on top of that. Like I thought the Lions, if they could have gone down and scored right then, all right, maybe the Niners are up against it, but the Niners get a stop, go take the lead. And, it all started in my mind with that was the first moment where it's like, hey, the Niners could still win this game. So I'm going Ayuk.
I think I'm going to go with Jair Brown. Jair Brown is a rookie. It's a big moment. Last week, he didn't get to play for Logan Ryan, who they pulled off a cruise ship. That to me was unbelievable. And to go back to this kid and to basically say, hey, you know what? It's the biggest game of our season. It's the NFC Championship game. We're going up against a terrific team. Oh, and by the way, you're going to start and you haven't played in weeks, and we need you to kind of step up and not be any kind of a weakness. Not only was he not a weakness, he had 10 tackles, 5 of them solo. Fred Warner had 13, but we expect that out of him. Greenlaw had 7. Fred and Dre combined for 20 tackles and 12 solo. But still, Jair Brown, you don't expect Jair Brown to be that big of a guy. And it's like Jair Brown was just monster. Yeah. So he's my Marin Autoglass player of the game. Awesome. All right, guys, good stream. Thanks to everybody. We are 2 hours and 52 minutes and 59 seconds into this. Still 1,600 people in the room. We really appreciate every single one of you guys for stopping by. JD, when are you going to be on the leader next?
Yeah, I'm going to be on tomorrow in the 1 o'clock hour, I think, with Papa and Lund. So looking forward to that as they break everything down. And then make sure you check out the Dubs OT shows. Man, struggling times for the Warriors. But, yeah, Dubs OT live.
Dub's going to make a
on-
trade. JD, you got a trade that you can give us?
They are going to make a trade, but now I feel like they're enamored with the Draymond Green, Kuminga, Wiggins front line, which is, they've had a little more success with individually. So I don't know what they're going to do, to be honest.
Just don't trade, please.
Trade who?
Don't trade Kuminga.
I don't think they're going
agree.
to. Yeah, they're not going to. I think at this point, I mean, he's raised his game more than it even was. Like a month ago, I think you could make a case. I don't think you could make a case to do it now, especially with their record. Like, because you're not going to get a player, I don't think, coming back that's going to help you enough to where you're going to now be a playoff team because you get that player this year. But they got to do something. Probably another conversation for another time. But yeah, Tuesday night, immediately following the Warriors and the Sixers, and after every Warriors game, the Dubs OT shows on YouTube and on KMBR as well. And I'll be in Vegas. Just kind of let everybody know that.
Nice.
I'll be in Vegas leaving next Sunday and going to be there all week. So look out. We'll see. We'll see if
We'll
I'm
see you in
still
Vegas.
standing.
Kevin
see
and I
if
are
I'm
going to be
still
there in
standing
Vegas.
on February 12th.
We'll see you, JD.
Later,
Thanks,
JD. Have a
guys.
good one, man.
See you,
Appreciate
JD.
you. Danny, when's the next NorCal Sports Network extravaganza?
Probably go to bar night 8:30 for a little bit. We'll do a little bit of a wrap on the Niners probably, but we'll do our little bit of Giant stuff. We'll see if we can talk about them for more than 5-10 minutes. That's about all I can stomach right now. But my question tomorrow is the national narrative. I know the haters are going to get stuck on this. Instead of the great catch by Ayuk, the improbable play, they're going to focus on that it should have been picked off, that Purdy left it hanging up there. That'll be the haters. You watch. That's what they'll be speaking tomorrow. The Nick Wrights and the Ryan Clarks, and they'll be all over that play.
At this point, they look kind of pathetic. to be
It's honestly ridiculous. I thought like before I started paying attention more to the media that they'd actually have like better takes. I swear sometimes people don't even watch the games. It's like,
exactly.
Can you not tell the difference from this game and last game? Last game, I'll give it to you. He had some bad throws, and to point those out there's nothing wrong about that. But this game, he had that one bad throw that you caught that ended up being a touchdown, or he had the one interception, I guess, too, that was actually a deflected tip pass.
That wasn't his fault though.
Yeah, so it's like it's just like, do people actually watch the games? Because sometimes it's just like blanket statements being thrown out.
Well, and look what the guy does as a runner in this game. I mean, that right there was amazing.
Man, unbelievable.
Danny, good stuff, man. Oh, go ahead.
This last thing, because I was getting really excited when they opened the second half and they did the one play with no huddle. I thought they were going to come out and do the whole drive no huddle. We only saw one, and it was a successful play. And I thought, keep it going. You're down. I'd like to see Kyle do something a little different in the Super Bowl. Do a little bit, a little more aggressive. We know Andy Reid's going to go for it. But anyway.
I agree. We've got a couple of weeks to talk about what that's going to look like.
NorCal Sports Network, guys. If you're a Giants fan, we'll be talking Giants, Niners, Warriors. But help us out. We're about just under 1,500 subs. When the Giants do something big, we'll have Larry come on if they do something big, and that's doubtful. But
you never know.
Danny,
have a great night, brother.
Hey,
we'll talk to you.
Too.
There you go. The great Dan Coachimilio, NorCal Sports Network. All right, Kev, we're time to bolt for the door. We're at 35,806 subs. If you're one of the 1,562 people in the room hanging and you've yet to subscribe over at the Krug Show, please do. We're working hard. We're putting together a lot of good videos and live streams and talking a lot of Bay Area sports. So it's been a fun time. We will be in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl, not for I'm not sure exactly what day we're leaving. Tuesday, probably of Super Bowl week, but we'll be there.
I have to move a midterm. I have to reschedule a midterm or something to get down to Vegas.
There you go. Kev's going to have to do what he's got to do. I mean, what comes first, a midterm or Vegas with the Niners?
I don't want to have to stay a fifth year of college.
Yeah, seriously. And I can't afford that. So anyway, Thanks to the 35,808 now subscribers. But if you're one of the 1,500 people in the room, hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. If you hit like, that just grows the algorithm and more people find the shows. And then if you hit subscribe and click that notification bell every time we go live, you'll get an update saying, hey, we're going live, and we talk a ton of Niners. So lots of Niner videos. Kev, what do we got planned on the channel over the next couple days? Anything that you want to tell the audience?
Just tomorrow, wake up. We're gonna try to schedule some not upper echelon, not to disparage our other guests, but we were gonna try to get some more big name guests leading up to the Super Bowl. We're gonna be reaching out, working day and night right now, trying to get your Twitter back. Don't know what happened to it. Got locked out of your Twitter because I was trying to sign in for something, and then it freaked out thinking that I was a hacker. So
people are just thinking I'm not into it anymore.
Yeah. So just FYI, we're locked out of the Krug Show or the Larry Krueger Twitter account right now. Working on getting that back. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Tomorrow, wake up 8 a.m.
8 a.m. tomorrow morning with Damon Bruce. Wake up. We'll break this whole thing down. It's going to be fun on the rewatch. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. I know they had a huge day today in Emeryville and Corte Madera. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. Check them out. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy. Check that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they'll match you that first $100. And, of course, thanks to Marin Autoglass and our Marin Autoglass player of the game. But thanks to them for sponsoring the show. MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. And we got this one from Ed. Says, Larry, I just wanted to say that the Niners defense fell off after Cleveland Farrell got injured. I think that is definitely probably something you could say for sure. And David Musick says, drive safe, Larry.
Definitely probably something you could say for sure. That's a good statement.
What's that?
Never mind.
Drive safe. Dank says, great show. B-Force says, Larry, the hardest worker in sports. Actually, Kev is probably the hardest worker. Shanghai Kelly says, thanks, Larry, for all your pickle kissers. On fire, guys. Let's go. Dusty Gold. We could do this all night, guys, but we got to jet. Have a great night, everybody. Seriously, incredible day. If you were part of this one today, it was part of Niner history. It absolutely was. And it was an amazing comeback. If you missed it, 24/7 Lions at the break, 27 unanswered points by the 49ers in the second half. Amazing ties to the 57 game when you look at the identical score. And last time it was the Lions coming back on the Niners, and today it was the Niners coming back on the Lions. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll be back in the morning. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Can't